on the Odyssey app is KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland 1080 The Fan, an Odyssey station.
This message will self-destruct.
It's time to begin the football weekend.
And as they say in Tinseltown, roll up.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
They had pride, they had talent, they had hats and T-shirts.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan.
Monday.
24 Reno.
Red right, 24 double Puma.
Here we go. Good morning. Happy Football Friday, everybody.
What is happening?
Well, Budweiser was up there.
What's up? I still maintain we should bring it back.
I got annoyed.
I want to bring
by
it back.
I got annoyed by it.
It would last maybe 2 months, you know.
You think it goes 2 months?
I think it lasts 2 months before we get tired of it.
Oh, 2 weeks,
I
maybe.
thought it was annoying.
I could do it every
after
day.
2 weeks.
I still do it sometimes when I answer the phone with my brother
Do
when he
you
calls
really?
me. What's up? What's up?
Yeah, you've already annoyed me of it.
It's already done.
I'm already
It's already
tired of
done.
it.
You don't want to what's up me back?
I felt like it was just too many places.
When was the last time we had a commercial that was that
Trend setting?
Yes, because that one was a moment where just guys sitting around on the couch calling, answering the phone. Wow, it was just a beer commercial. That's all they did, the entire commercial.
And then the scary movies made fun of it.
They did. The scary movies had it.
Yeah.
Everybody said it in their day-to-day life for a brief period. Everybody at one point or another was what's that guy.
And you still use it.
Still use it to this day.
Really?
Still use it. Still gold, baby. Still gold, Jerry. Still gold.
You kind of sound like the guy wearing the Letterman jacket at the bar and you're
You're damn
43
right.
years old.
Class of 95. Back in my prime, we used to say, what's up, when we answered the phone. And everybody laughed, man. It was great. It was gold.
I don't know if I've used the term what's up in 20 years.
It's fun to say, isn't it? You just had fun. You chuckled a little bit when you said it. You got a bigger smile on your face. Now your day's feeling better. Bring it back.
My buddy sent me the corniest video on Instagram yesterday. He DM'd a video, and it was some cartoon character and said, "You can't feel your tongue when you smile." And he goes, "I made you smile."
You did.
And that was the cartoon.
I literally
I'm like,
just
"Oh my
did.
God."
I did.
I was in my kitchen
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
down at my phone. I'm like, "Really?" And I started smiling.
I feel like I can kind of feel my tongue right now. I don't know. Am I supposed? Where's my tongue supposed to go in a smile? Now I'm confused.
I think that's the equivalent to the "what's up."
What's
Like,
up?
doing that. There you go.
Look, you're welcome for the good vibes right out of the gate, baby. This is what we do. Make you feel good on a Friday.
It does make me feel good on a Friday.
You know what else is going to make me feel good on a Friday? You know what we're doing at the Johnson household today?
What are you doing?
We're putting Christmas stuff out today.
All of it?
All of it.
I've been a little surprised
YOLO.
how much Christmas stuff has been out in my neighborhood.
Already lights up in the neighborhood, or like little Frosty the Snowman inflatables?
Yeah, there's like little things here and there. It's not like a full out, assault of Christmas in mid-November.
Yeah.
But it is out and about with some people. I've seen a lot of trees.
Oh, okay.
Like fake trees, obviously.
Yeah.
But I've seen trees and windows.
A fake tree you throw up anytime you want, man. You could have that thing up year-round.
I bought a strand for my car.
Did you?
I have Christmas lights on my dashboard.
On your dashboard.
Yeah.
Look at you, Rudolph.
Well, I've
Feel
always
all
wanted
fancy.
to do that, and this year I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go buy some, so I just did.
How long until we get the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the front of the car, too? Are we going to get that? Can we get the antlers out the side windows, too? Let's go all the way in, man. What are we doing? Who do we judge more in the middle of November? The people that have their Christmas decorations up on the outside of their house already, or the people who have not taken their Halloween stuff down? What's the more egregious
I think it's the
judging?
Halloween.
I think it is, too.
And the Christmas, it's a bit early. A lot of people are hearing this, and they're going to go, really, guys? Christmas. It's mid-November.
I'm not putting the lights up yet. I'm not doing, like, lights on the house. This is for us in our internal enjoyment inside.
If it is not going to rain when I get home, and I was watching
You gonna
local
do it
news
today?
today,
You gonna do it today?
I might put them up. Well, because I've told you this before.
I know,
you
you like
have
getting
to
'em up.
kind of hang them early. If you have a weather day,
We got sunshine and clouds all day today. Not an inch of rain.
I'm not going to turn them on, but I certainly think I'm probably going to get home and contemplate. I might put them up so I don't have to do this in the freezing cold rain.
You don't want to do it in freezing cold rain.
No.
You want to get it done. You want to be able to turn them on when you're ready, when you're set. And you don't want to be rushing last second of like, okay, now it's December 4th and I haven't got my lights up yet and the weather's going to be bad for the next week. It's good to be fully prepared. I might do that same thing today too. We'll see if I have enough time.
You got to take advantage of weather when we get it.
You don't get sunny days in November very often, man.
It's been flooding the last couple days.
That it has. So you get a little sunshine. I'm not opposed to it today. Maybe we'll do the inside and the outside this afternoon. The Johnsons are ready to roll.
I've noticed some silence here on the show.
Uh-oh.
And it's a weird show day. It's a football Friday. We're really excited to be here.
That it is.
One of us is leaving before the show is over.
Everybody's leaving. I'm the only constant on football Fridays now. You're taking football Fridays off. He's leaving on football Fridays.
That's right. I was off last week.
This is me. It's just me. It's just a dirt show.
No, he's out for basketball purposes.
Yeah, Rust will be here for your final hour.
And he's focused on he's reading something on the computer.
Oh, he's getting ready to go.
And I thought it was okay, he's distracted. He's here, but he's not here because his real job for him is he's going on to do it today.
Yes.
And I thought about it. I think it's actually anger is why he is so quiet.
And what are we angry about?
What am I angry about?
Oh, you didn't see the Clackamas County judgment yesterday?
No.
Lake Oswego is public now. Like the actual lake.
Oh, they lost the case.
They lost
the
case.
lake. It's a public
the
lake.
Lake has been deemed.
So I can go swim in the lake now. I'm gonna go jump in, take my boat out there, take my dinghy out in Lake Oswego, wave at Neil O'Shea.
Now there's not a lot of public access
There's
points.
one access point.
That's all you got to get into the lake.
And it's like some stairs, and it's tiny, and there's a bush next to it. But it's public now, and people at Lakeo are pissed.
I mean, what are we doing here? It's a lake. It's a public body. Like, how was that private to begin with?
Well, it's a lot of money people spend on those houses for private access.
I'm taking my inner tube out there shirtless. You can see my nipples now. Congratulations, Lake Oswego.
I don't know that it's going to amount to a hill of beans of difference. But
no.
You wait. July. There's going to be a random day where
the
ton
big
of
question is there's
randos are
two
there.
swim parks, one on the north side, one on the south side of the lake. And before you had to actually be a resident of Lake Oswego
to actually access
so
it.
How do they check that, though? Like, you got to, show a driver's license with an address? Like, how does that work?
Like
you get,
that.
a Lake Oswego card?
I don't
real
remember
An
how
LO
that
tattoo?
works.
It's absolute judgment.
Just look at you when you're walking in.
Where do you live?
Boat
I'm trying to
shoes and
remember
a
how that works.
suede jacket? All right, you can come in.
I think they
good.
checked your ID and looked at the address or something like
Really?
that. I don't know. But
God, you hoity-toity Lake Oswego
Highfalutin, white-looking person is never being questioned.
You'll be all right.
Those are Ralph Lauren shorts.
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
Go on in.
Tommy Hilfiger, you're all right.
So that'll be
swim
the
in our
biggest
pools.
thing is do those parks become public?
Well, I think that's the fear is now they're going to be overrun with just a bunch of non-Lakeo
I think we should
residents.
have this become
Well,
what I'm picturing in my head.
They're not easy to find. They're just sort of off the side of the road in the entrance.
they'll be found
It's
now.
not
We'll
like-
find him. We'll find him now.
Eastsiders know how to find
Oh, we'll
stuff.
find this thing. I'm coming over the river to your town now. I'm envisioning the Caddyshack swimming
yeah,
pool scene.
Yeah,
That's now.
from 1 to 115.
That's what I hope the Lake Oswego looks like this summer.
Yes.
Everybody just go jump in. Somebody said the streets are saying Dirt's going to play with his dinghy in Lake Oswego. I might this summer. I'm ready to go jump in, man.
Yeah, that
You and your Johnson,
that
a way
story.
of life for over 50 years.
Watching the local news, one person was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan about this." It's like, "Oh really?
Oh, I'm shocked. Where do you live?
Where's your
What's
house?
your net worth? $17 million? Yeah, no wonder you're upset about this.
no,
it be
I
funny
was actually.
You can't block people from a body of water. What is going on?
Have a floaty.
You gonna own the Pacific Ocean? I own this
No.
10-mile stretch of the Pacific Ocean. You can't go jump in.
They own the
Didn't they
lake.
find out that the guy that made all of the money in The Big Short, that basically set off the investors of betting against the housing market, didn't we find out at the end of that month or that movie that he basically bought futures in air?
I thought it was water.
Was it water?
I thought he was
water.
buying
Yeah.
futures in water. Like we're gonna run out of water, and he's buying water.
And I was like, I remember watching the end and I go, awesome, a depressing movie. Just made me more depressed than water now.
Nice. So this guy
going
who
away.
saw the housing crisis coming now thinks we're going to have a water crisis. So this is good. Now we have public water.
Yes.
No more private water,
There you
damn
go.
it.
I think we need to figure out where old Neil O'Shea is and
think-
float up on our dinghy. Why did you trade CJ?
You just yell.
Why?
Get a bullhorn out there on the lake, yelling at all the rich people, blaring rap music. Oh, I can't wait. This could be great this summer. I hope people do this right because I know I'm not going to do it.
No, I
But
won't
I hope
either.
that people do. I hope the youngins realize how cool this is.
The blowhorn effect on a dinghy.
I love it when you call me Big Papa over the
The non-edited
yeah,
version.
the non-edited version over the bullhorn. It'd be great.
I would love to find out
Jet skis.
where he is.
Oh no, there's a lot of
blowhorn.
jet skis in the lake.
Oh, that I know, but I
Yeah.
want to flood them with some trash. I want some like eastbound and down jet skis.
Why have the Sixers gotten worse since you started consulting with them?
That's right. I forgot he's working for
Neil!
Philly. You suck, Neil.
Neil!
Hey, Neil. I hate you.
Dope house though, bro.
So
Nice
you should be
boat.
pro this though, because what is the access for Lake Oswego and Lake Ridge to the lake?
Oh,
Is it
Lake
all,
Ridge is the poor people.
like
of
you guys are on the poor side of town, are you not?
the other side of the
For the
tracks.
hoity-toity whites, you guys are on the poor side.
Not on the lake. There's no poor side of the lake.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what.
Now, is
side
the
of-
lake split between Lake Oswego and Lake Ridge high schools, or is all of
Yeah.
that Lake Oswego?
No, it's.
I don't know how that geography works.
no.
I actually didn't even know the lake was private, to be honest with you, until this
It's on
segment.
both
I had
sides.
no clue.
Well, I just
Yeah.
seen the story a couple
Yeah.
times, and then
Yeah,
today
it
or
was
yesterday
quite the
they rolled
lawsuit.
So if I
judgment.
went to try to go jump in like 3 years ago, somebody would have been like, dude, get the hell out of here. You can't be in here.
I actually
we don't like your
again,
kind around here.
Again, there's very few public access. I mean, most of it is houses and residences that are on the lake.
Also, I say this with a lot of ignorance.
And they
'cause
built all these, then they made all these little canals off of it so they could build more houses and call
Of
it
course.
lakefront
Yeah, but
property.
had I
Of
gotten a
course.
flotation device, let's say I brought a
you were
stand-up
out-
paddleboard,
If you were out in the middle of it with a paddleboard,
nobody would have stopped
Nobody
me.
would have known.
Okay, nobody would have said anything.
No.
You're out there supping.
Let's see your papers. What do you mean, my papers?
What kind of papers? What happened?
Multiple hundreds in your pocket, or you're not
yeah.
able to go in here.
I only
So
got
we'll
ones
see.
right now in my money clip. I would have been kicked out immediately, dude.
We'll see what happens. Like, I think the biggest piece will be what do they have to do with those swim parks? Do they have to let anybody in now? Other than that,
I would hope so.
I mean, I think the judgment literally
Yeah.
says yes.
Let
you
'em
do.
go
It's a
swim,
public
man.
access.
I got to go read.
lake.
Well, I know the judge who,
You know the judge?
yeah, big family friend.
Really?
Yeah, used to be in a
That's the most
partner.
Lake Oswego thing of all time.
Was in a legal practice partnership with my stepdad
Oh,
and
how about
others
that?
before they all became judges.
No, tell him good
Ah,
judgment. Tell him
yes,
good judgment.
yeah,
there.
tell him
Good
thank you.
job.
Thank
Good
you,
job.
man. The people, her.
Tell her
her.
good job.
Great job. She did
Great
an
job.
awesome job. The people support this decision.
By the way, quickly before we go, I had to.
Sorry, I was distracted. It's the last day to get your benefits done.
Oh.
That's what I was distracted. We have a new option
Oh, I
that-
got on my wife's benefit.
that's supposedly no deductible, and I'm trying to
How about
figure out
that?
if that's a better deal or not.
Ah.
That's what I was distracted
I
with.
had to charge my car yesterday, so I had to go to like a strip mall area to charge it. So I'm like, I'll get a little sandwich and walk around a little bit, kill like 20 minutes of time, right? Is there anything more awkward than walking and then somebody clearly who is about to ask you for money, asking you for the money and doing it in a perfectly sad voice, and you go, I don't have any cash, and they go, oh, it's okay. And then 3 steps later, you walk into a food restaurant to grab like a sandwich. Just like
Little
I
uncomfortable.
don't have any cash, but now you're seeing me buy something, and
Would have been great if they responded. I take Venmo. Take out one of those little port things you
Chip
put in your
readers?
phone, little chip reader. I got a chip reader, man. You're good.
hey, wait, let me plug it in. Hold on.
$14.99. It'll just take 2 seconds. Don't worry about it. I don't need cash.
I actually did feel guilty about this. I did get a little cash back just so I could give him a couple bucks.
Look at you.
Couldn't find 'em.
Look at. Oh, they were gone by the time you got out.
We're gone in 5
What are we
minutes.
doing?
I
You
don't
got to
know.
hang out right there. Then you got to. If you're gonna guilt the people on the way into the sandwich shop, you got to guilt them on the way out. You've got a better chance of getting $1 on the way out. If I give you the sad puppy dog eyes on the way out too,
Yeah.
I think the chances of getting $1 are a lot higher.
Very awkward to like look at somebody coming out of a place with bags of food. Can I have $1? And you're like, I don't have any money. And you're like
no.
holding all the food.
This was my last $13.99. Now I'm out, man. I got 0 left.
Hopefully that guy shows up at Lake Oswego this summer.
I hope he goes swimming. Go take a bath in the lake. I bet the water's nice and warm.
Happy Gilmore's
No,
caddy.
you're gonna need. Usually needed a shower after you got out of
After
that
you
thing.
being in the lake, you got to go
It,
shower.
I mean, it is a yeah.
A lot of algae.
Let's not act like that lake's amazing.
Yeah, come on. They got
No.
extra money over there. They're cleaning it out. That's what they're trying to tell us to keep us out of the lake.
It's secretly
dirty.
a big pool.
You don't want to swim in it. Oh, yeah. I bet the water's nice and clear.
Don't drink the water, you might
You
die.
can see all the way to the bottom in Lake Oswego. That's what they tell
Barely
me.
see your feet.
Well, it's going to be a good show today. We have a lot to get to. Let's start. I want to set the tone for the show. I want to talk about a big weekend thing, okay? We'll start there. Dirt and Sprague is the Sprague and Line Friday, so you get the Sprague and Line sponsors in at the Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. We get it going, and we set the tone next on The Fan.
Hallelujah, it's Friday, 'cause I've been working all week.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
On 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in 619 on 1080 The Fan. We've got a Football Friday ahead. A lot of football Fridaying.
Just big football weekend.
A lot of football. It's football season.
That it is.
I don't have any basketball on my show sheet.
Not for very much longer, man. We only got a couple of weeks left in the regular season of college. Isn't that crazy?
It's a weird way to think about it because you're right. And then also, like, we have kind of an extended month of the season because of the playoff and the scheduling of all of it.
The championship in college is on January 20th, so we're a little over 2 months away from that, but only 3 weeks to go in the regular season.
Your birthday.
That is my birthday.
Yeah, interesting.
Confluence of events.
Isn't the inauguration the 20th?
My birthday is on Inauguration Day. Has been my entire... Every 4 years, a new president gets inaugurated on my birthday.
Trump's the new president, Dirt's birthday, and the Ducks could be in a situation where they lose another national championship.
They could. Yeah.
And they could win it?
Oh, they could win it!
What a birthday.
They could.
What a birthday.
Or a really depressing birthday.
We have the audio of Dan Lanning from the show yesterday.
He was on primetime.
Yes, he was.
I was wrong on the travel schedule. I just assumed they were leaving yesterday, but I guess they're leaving today.
Look, I said this yesterday we don't really communicate much between shows. I gauge if Dusty's live or if he's not here.
Yeah, that's when we know the team travels. Is he on the show or is he virtual in Eugene?
And so, like, I heard Dusty yesterday because I was driving around a little bit. And so I'm like, okay, Lanning will be on tomorrow. And then yesterday I didn't have a position. I wasn't in a spot to listen to the show. And then I checked the podcast, didn't see the interview, so I had to listen this morning.
And to the surprise of nobody, the thing that I'm maybe most confused by of all of this is time differences and time zones.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess they're only going 2 days ahead of time if it's 2 time zones away.
They're central in Wisconsin.
And Wisconsin is not 2 time. It is 2
time zones.
2 time zones. So it's not 3 time zones?
Mountain and then central.
So did they go 2 days for Eastern time zone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Purdue, West Lafayette, Indiana.
They only went 1 day for Purdue, but I think that had a lot to do with we're playing Purdue.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that
right.
was yeah.
I want to set the tone for Football Friday.
All right.
I'm not going to scream "What's up" in your ear.
Are you sure you don't want to? Felt good.
I want to put a poll question up. Was up annoying or not annoying? Or something to the effect of the last time you did it.
Bring it back. That should be the poll question.
Bring it back.
Yes and yes, your 2 options.
Answering
should we bring
the
it back?
phone with "was up." A non-football thing to get the tone set. So, do you know what is on tonight?
I do know what is on tonight.
I'm kind of excited, even though it's a very gimmicky, stupid thing to be excited about.
Yeah, I feel like I'm falling into the algorithm by watching this, but I'm definitely going to watch this.
Well, Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul tonight on Netflix. I've been asked a million different times do I have to pay more if I already have a Netflix account? And to my knowledge, you don't. If you have Netflix, you can watch this.
Okay, because I'm not paying more, but I have Netflix, and I plan on watching this.
I read 3 articles yesterday, and they all said, if you don't have Netflix now, you can subscribe. If you have it, you're fine.
Yeah.
So Mike Tyson is 57 years old.
That he is.
He is going to fight 20-something-year-old Jake Paul, whose entire gimmick is to be the absolute just awful bro on the internet, on YouTube, and now he's turned that into quite the business opportunity.
He's an insufferable douche because everybody wants to watch the fights to see him lose. And then he wins,
and he knows
and that's the way it goes.
He knows what he is.
Making a lot of money.
Mike Tyson did an interview with a child reporter talking about this fight.
I'm so glad you pulled this.
And I want to set this up before I play it. This girl is no older than like 11.
Yeah.
And it's quite clear in the video she cannot be older than like 11 years old.
It's like when you get those kid reporters that go to like Super Bowl Media Day and they ask them, hey, Tom Brady, what's your favorite thing?
So I want you to bear this in mind. An 11-year-old talking to Mike Tyson ahead of this Jake Paul fight. And I want you to really listen to his answer to the question.
Well, in your return to the ring for this fight, you are setting a monumental opportunity for kids my age to see the legend, Mike Tyson, in the ring for the first time. So after such a successful career, what type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
Well, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. Legacy doesn't mean nothing. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Someone said that word and everyone grabbed on the word, so now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over. Who cares about a legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm going to die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead. We're dust. We're absolutely nothing. Our legacy is nothing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is something that I have not heard before, someone say that as an answer.
Can you really imagine somebody say, I want my legacy to be this way when you're dead? Why do you want somebody, you think somebody really wants to think about you? What's the audacity? I think I want people to think about me when I'm gone. Who the cares about me when I'm gone? Well, my kids, maybe, or grandkids. Who the
True.
fuck cares?
She's 11. And he's
Never
like,
thought about it that way, Mike. No, I've never heard anybody say that.
None of this matters. We're irrelevant.
We're all gonna die, man. Who cares?
Keep following your dreams, kid.
That has to be a pretty terrifying answer, though. If you're Jake Paul, that's his mindset going into the fight. Who cares? I'm gonna die. Doesn't matter. Oh, it's a little scary. I'm a little concerned right now.
That kid asked a very hearted, lovely question, and he just
what's your legacy? What do you want to be remembered by? Face tattoos, biting people's ears off.
We're floating on a rock, kid, and we're all gonna die. None of this matters, so who cares?
Red jacket, green jacket. Happy birthday, no such thing.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck in your fight.
Good luck against Jake Paul Friday night, Mike.
I just kept thinking what the dad of that kid was thinking watching this. Like, jeez, man, you couldn't give my kid just an easy kid answer to that question.
Although, to be fair, Mike Tyson did make her go viral. If he just answers that question normally, I want to be remembered as a vicious fighter and through a powerful right hook and guy who got his life back together after a lot of struggles early on. Nobody's playing that clip. That thing's not going viral.
I had to explain to my daughter doesn't know much about Mike Tyson, but she knew this fight was happening, and it'll be on in my house tonight, so I'm sure she'll see some of it. And she goes, Dad, do you think Mike Tyson could knock you out?
Yeah.
I went, let me tell you something about your old man.
Yes.
A lot of people that you've never heard of could knock me out.
Wouldn't take him very much effort.
Mike Tyson might kill me. And she goes, no, he's like 50-something. I go,
doesn't matter.
Come here. And I sat down and we watched Mike Tyson's 5 most vicious knockouts. And she went, oh, my
12 seconds
God.
in, boom, down he goes. Boom, down he goes.
Larry Holmes.
Yeah.
Michael Spinks. Bye. Get out of here.
I would not stand a chance against this guy.
And so I go, he's 57. He could still probably make me look like that if he confronted
He might make Jake Paul look like that tonight, man. I hope he does. I'm going to watch. I don't care how dumb this is and it's meaningless. And Mike Tyson's nearly a senior. I mean, he is a senior citizen. I don't care. This will be on my television at home. And I am hoping like hell that Jake Paul gets knocked out. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen.
I worry it's not going to happen.
Like, I don't know if this is one of those dive situations where Tyson needs an extra couple of million and Jake Paul's kicking him and he says, let me knock you out on the 4th round. I don't know how any of this goes. None of it's sanctioned. Nobody has any clue. I will watch for the sheer opportunity to see Jake Paul get knocked out tonight.
The funny thing is he's already lost a fight.
See, and I didn't even know that.
He lost against Tyson Fury's brother.
Was it a decision? Was it a knockout? How did it go? Do you remember?
I think it was a decision.
Okay.
I don't think he got knocked out. So you want to see him actually like slumped over, fall to the mat.
Yes, I want to see him on his back.
Do you think it can happen? Because he's
a pretty big dude.
He's not a small dude. Tyson's 57.
Yeah.
He slapped him yesterday at their weigh-in.
I did see that.
I don't know, man. I want to say Tyson's going to do it, and I want to believe Tyson's going to do it, but that age gap and the body, he's bigger than Mike Tyson.
Remember, this was supposed to happen like 6 months ago, was
July.
it not? And then it ended up Tyson had like some sort of health ailment. I don't remember what it was, but it derailed the entire thing. This thing was supposed to be a big July showdown, and they had to move it to November. He's 58 and he's coming off a health ailment, so I have no clue how to feel about this. I also don't really feel like I'm sure I'm sure Jake Paul is like a good boxer in terms of like the average population.
Sure.
But he was asked yesterday at one of the press conferences and was like, why don't you go fight like a serious person? Like, if this is a career, like, why don't you actually try and make this a career? And he called the guy a dumbass and went on this tirade about how he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's because it's all a cash grab.
Well, he's kind of right, though. Like, it's not about the fighting per se. It's about money.
For him, it is, yeah.
So, like, he could fight 57-year-old Mike Tyson and get everybody like us to talk about that or be curious about it. Or he could go fight run-of-the-mill guy in his weight class
and
that
nobody's ever
heard of.
I think people would still watch because of his name. I think people would still tune in.
Yeah, but the problem is...
Not to this level, but they would still tune in.
Yeah, but, like, what if his record's 5-3 as, like, a real boxer?
He's not willing to try that.
Yeah, because then you don't watch and he doesn't get the money.
Right.
So he's going to keep doing the gimmicky thing.
Yeah, it's all a cash grab for him, but I'll grab that cash tonight, man. I'll give you my $5.99.
I'm curious how many people are going to sign up specifically for Netflix for this fight.
Oh, they could.
Isn't that the way they measure the success of the fight?
I've actually been thinking lately about canceling Netflix because
we have too.
I don't watch it as much as I used to anymore.
They don't let TV shows go longer than a season on Netflix. They love to make a show and then just cancel it. And you're like, well, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but like, can you develop anything?
Yeah, can we get this thing going for 2 or 3 seasons? So I've actually thought about that. This is one of the reasons in the Christmas Day games I was like, I'll wait till the holidays.
And that's
are
why
over.
you don't cancel it.
I'll wait till January. Then they'll hook me in with a new show on like January 12th and be like, all right, I'll keep Netflix around. But I've kicked around the idea.
Suns at Thunder tonight. Grizzlies at Warriors with no Ja, and T-Wolves at Kings are like alternatives to this fight.
But no Washington UCLA on your bingo card? What the hell's the matter with you?
Washington UCLA.
Come on, man.
What time's that game start?
I have no clue.
A football Friday in Seattle.
Let's see. There was a UCLA reporter yesterday said I just landed in Seattle and I'm driving over to 6 o'clock.
Fox.
6 o'clock on Fox.
So that's about the
Houston
same.
at Arizona, 7:15 on
Nobody cares.
FS1.
Nobody cares.
Arizona sucks.
Yeah. If it was Arizona State, I'd watch. They're watchable this year. Arizona,
Especially if Scatabo was back.
not watchable.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna have this fight on, but I'm probably also gonna have the iPad to watch the Huskies UCLA game.
I'll have that game on. You got dual screens going tonight, and I might put the football game on the big screen. To be honest with you, I don't know. We'll wait and see. I don't know. I'm excited, but I'm also like, why am I so excited about this?
Because it's a spectacle, man.
I know.
It's you want to see. It's just a weird thing. We all know what the fight is, and yet you're kind of like, I can't not look.
It's a car crash.
No, it's a cop on the side pulling a car over.
Oh, no.
Why is everybody slowing down? What's happening?
I wonder what that guy had in his trunk. Look like
Everybody has to slow down and see the cop.
Something suspicious going on back there.
Let's get going on Football Friday. Mike Tyson setting the tone there. None of this matters. I want to talk a little NFL. We'll start there, and then we'll get into college football. Dirt and Sprague next, but first, Swag with a sports update.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the top-ranked Oregon Ducks can clinch a spot in the Big Ten championship game with a victory in Madison Saturday. They take on the Wisconsin Badgers right here on The Fan. Kickoff set for 4:30. Ducks currently 14-point favorites. Our live pregame coverage on The Fan begins at noon. Beavers desperate to end a 4-game losing streak in Colorado Springs. They'll face the Air Force Academy 12:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Ryan Gulbranson expected to start at quarterback. Beavs 3.5-point favorites. The Georgia Bulldogs have ruled out their number one running back, Trevor Etienne, for Saturday night's showdown against the Tennessee Volunteers due to an upper body injury. Eagles overcoming 2 missed field goal attempts and a missed extra point from their kicker to pull away from the Commanders late. 26-18 for the victory thanks to Saquon Barkley. He eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark for the season, rushing for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. College hoops tonight in Corvallis. Beavs looking to remain undefeated on this season, hosting the winless Cal State Fullerton Titans. Tip from Gill Coliseum, 7 o'clock. You can see it on ESPN+. Beavs, 12.5-point favorites. More sports scores and stories, 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
We got audio of both local coaches talking about NIL recruiting roster stuff. We'll get to that today.
It's always evolving in college football. The offseason is already here, even though we're in the middle of the season.
Yeah, Castellanos is gone from Boston College. He got benched. So he said, I'm out. Bye.
I'm not playing here anymore. See you later, Bill O'Brien. I'm transferring out.
Go run the triple option, dude. You can't throw.
No.
Poll question is up. Should we bring back what's up when answering the phone? Yes, no, God, no.
We got a text in, said, where did this go? Damn, the what's up. Bringing back some memories today, boys. I love it. You're welcome.
Late 90s.
You're welcome.
I asked this question sincerely. Saquon Barkley, of all the athletes in the major four sports, is he of the best value of somebody that signed a new contract or extension? In terms of how much he is on the cap, what his number is, and what he provides, is he the best valued pro athlete?
Hold on. Because there's a guy who is at the same position. I don't know what the difference in their salary is.
Baltimore?
Yeah, Derrick Henry signed a 2-year deal worth up to $16 million, it looks like. So he's making about just shy of $8 million a year with some bonuses that he can get.
These are both my fantasy running backs, so I'm like I don't have a favorite here. They've both been the only thing for me.
Yeah, one leads the NFL in rushing. Saquon's deal was a 3-year, $37 million deal.
I think his cap hit's 3.8.
His cap hit is $3.8 million this year, 5.6 next year, and then $9 million in 2026.
And I know Henry's been awesome, so maybe we're splitting hairs here. I just feel like Saquon is a little more important, and Henry's been effing awesome. But I feel like I've seen Baltimore be a good running team, and not that Philly has never been.
Yeah.
But just how do you watch that game last night and not conclude that,
he's their he's everything.
He kind of is their offense, and that's no disrespect to Jalen, to A.J. Brown,
that's
to
all they
Smith,
got, man.
but
yeah.
he kind of sets the tone for all of it.
I mean, their offense was non-existent, it felt like, in the first half. I know they had the one drive at the end of the half where they got down there and had to settle for a field goal, and then you worried if Hurts had the concussion. And then in the second half, after a bunch of 3-and-outs, the biggest play that kind of sparked him was just a little third down dump to Saquon Barkley where he ran it for 60 yards and ultimately ended up setting up a touchdown. I would say right now I don't disagree with you. Right now I'm okay arguing this. I do want to see how this all plays out in the playoffs, though, because I have a working theory that Derrick Henry come postseason time, the way they're using him and the way he can close out games, has the chance to be more of a game changer for their team win-loss in the postseason than Saquon Barkley does. I know that the Eagles won last night. They're going to win the division. They're a playoff team. They're going to be in the postseason. I still have questions and concerns about their coach and their quarterback that I don't know how much I trust them come playoff time. Right now, you want to tell me he's most impactful, that's fine. I think Henry might have the final laugh in the playoffs.
Tony Gonzalez said on Amazon Prime the Eagles are the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, what are we doing?
I mean, they've won
6 in a row.
6 in a row.
They're 8-2.
Yeah.
I would not take them to beat the Detroit Lions.
What's interesting about what you said is the way that the media talks about this stuff sometimes. And you said something about that coach and quarterback I don't trust. That coach and quarterback have been in the Super Bowl, and Jared Goff just threw 5 picks.
He did.
And Campbell has never been. It's not that is the criteria, because I agree with you. The Lions are the best team in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to win the NFC this year. It's just interesting that other athletes on different teams kind of get benefits when they do that stuff, and we kind of question it with Philly.
Yeah, I think it was because of the way the season ended. It was so ugly last year that it's hard for me to get that vision out of my head, and I know they've won 6 in a row. Their year got off to a rough start. Now they've routed off 6 in a row, and they're 8-2, and they're playing really good football right now. That game also last night, Dan Quinn had a chance to kick a field goal to take the lead against a team who can't make a field goal or a PAT right now.
That was interesting.
And he elected to go for it despite getting stuffed on 2nd and short, 3rd and short, and just take the lead, man. I didn't quite understand that. I'm not arguing Washington wins that game if they kick a field goal there, but that was a bit of a backbreaker for them, and then they scored the touchdown, and then they got that PAT, and then all of a sudden it's a 2-possession game, and the game is essentially over at that point, and then Daniels threw a pick on the first play of their next drive, and all of a sudden it becomes a bloodbath. That was a lot closer game, I would argue, than the final score indicated. There were a lot of 3-and-outs from that Philly offense in the first half.
If Buffalo loses at home this weekend to Kansas City, isn't it just more deflating? Is everybody outside of the Chiefs sphere rooting for the Buffalo Bills to just show us that they can be beaten?
Yes, just make them bleed, man. I just need to see him bleed one time in the regular season.
There might not be any Kincaid or Keon Coleman in this game.
I know. I still don't understand how Kansas City's an underdog in the game. I don't get it.
San Francisco, man, same thing. It was like, what's happening here?
Get it? Why? It makes me feel dirty. I'm a dirty boy. I got to go take a shower after the show. How do we not? If you get plus money on Patrick Mahomes right now,
well, it's sub a field goal.
I know it is, but I'm just taking money line. I'm like, why would I not? You get this opportunity how many times a year to get Patrick Mahomes with plus money?
Well, that result in Indy last weekend was very deceiving. Buffalo won that game kind of going away, but that's because they kept picking off Flacco.
Yeah, Allen wasn't very good. Their passing game wasn't very good. They threw a pick six early. Yeah. Their offense was really clunky last weekend.
Baltimore's going to Pittsburgh this weekend.
Fun little game.
Lamar is playing Pittsburgh for only the 5th time in his career.
It's an interesting stat.
He's been hurt a lot when these teams play.
Whenever they end up meeting up. He doesn't have a good track record against them, too. I know that.
Well, and this is also, if I have this right, let me double check. This is also the first divisional game for Pittsburgh.
How is that possible?
Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, Commanders.
So they're basically the rest of the year going to go Ravens, Ravens.
It's Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens.
That's
Bengals.
A really weird layout of a schedule.
It's a very weird layout.
And it will decide if I know that Pittsburgh went on the road and won an impressive game last week. I wasn't sure if they were going to win that one. This will make people, like, if you beat Baltimore again at home, you rattle off another win, that would move them to, 4-0, I believe, since Russell Wilson took over, or 5-0, somewhere in that range. I think everybody's eyes are open of what Pittsburgh might be able to accomplish.
Tomlin, 18-5, is a home underdog against the spread.
God, that's a good number.
Tuning in for Sprague and Line today.
That's a good number.
San Francisco is playing Seattle. Seattle's coming off of a bye. They're a wounded animal that nobody trusts, no matter what they say.
Yeah, they cut their leading tackler on defense.
Their leading linebacker.
What was the move?
Terrell Dodson.
Just a financial move? Why the hell would you do that?
No, they just picked him up this year. That was one of their offseason additions.
He's their leading tackler. Why would you cut him?
Because McDonald hates who John Schneider's picked. I think what we've learned is John Schneider might be on a bit of a hot seat. I don't know if he actually is because the Vulcans are running things, but maybe he should be because I think his coach is quite literally saying, you suck. You have picked a bad roster.
Guy leads you in tackles. I think I'd want him around for the stretch run. That was a really weird move.
Well, I want to play this cut. This is Geno Smith at a press conference asked about never beating the 49ers. Here's Geno Smith.
Yeah, it's very personal, man. I think when you think about division, opponents, these games matter the most. Especially with the 49ers, they've been at the top of our division, one of the best teams in the league for a while. And if we want to be that type of team that we say we are, we got to go through teams like this. And I have no doubt in my mind the type of guys that we have, the type of preparation we're going to put in, and really the way that we're going to step on that field. I know that I'm going to step on it with that chip on my shoulder, that edge that I always have. And I know my guys are as well.
They are down at right tackle. I just don't know how you watch the Seahawks play right now and ignore all of this they're the top team. We got to prove it to ourselves. We can do it.
Yeah.
I've seen Seattle play enough to say that, I don't think this is going to be much of a game.
Well, and I think the final score in Tampa last week for San Francisco was a little misleading. If they could make a field goal, they win that game by 10 probably going away.
They got a little weird. They got up 10-0, and they just, evaporated. They could not
farted around,
miss field goals, and then they couldn't, keep drives sustaining.
They had the start that they wanted. This is a critical stretch for them, though. I mean, starting with that win last weekend, you win again this weekend, you're 6-4, you're alive in the division. Their next 2 games after this, are in Green Bay and in Buffalo. The next 2 weeks. But this is one of those history things. At what point is Seattle going to buck this trend, man? The Niners dominate them. They've dominated them for a long time, including playoff games. I gambled on them earlier this year when they went up to Seattle. It didn't matter how the 2 teams were playing, if one's feeling good or one's not feeling good. This is just a bad trend. Coaching change has happened, and it still does not matter. And so they got to find a way to get this monkey off their back. This is an obvious statement. They're 4-5. You lose this weekend, your season's over. I know the wild card race is maybe still a little open in the NFC.
They're still in a playoff?
If they win this weekend, you're 5-5 and you're tied with San Francisco and you're still in a wild card race. If you lose this weekend, you're done.
Yeah, but yes.
And I think you're going to lose this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the game has to be played.
Winning that game.
The game has to be played, and if they win this weekend, they're still alive. I'm not going to pick them to win, though.
Yeah, they have too many faults.
They got a lot of faults, and their quarterback's not playing at a high level anymore either. That was their case early in the year.
He doesn't really get the blame when they he had 3 interceptions last week, and 2 of those were One was in the red zone. The other one was one of the worst interceptions I've seen him throw in years.
Yeah.
And we've noted Geno and given him his credit. And I know his line is certainly a part of this, but like when they lose, you don't hear some of the national voices skewer him. It's everything else. And then if he beats a middling team, we talk about how great Geno is.
It's been a very weird year. Early in the season, his numbers were amongst the best in the NFL. The first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, a lot of his numbers showed you a guy who had maybe even improved from where he'd been the last 2 years. And that, because of the run game disappearing, because of the injuries on the offensive line, it has just cratered for them. That game 2 weeks ago you're talking about, he I don't want to say single-handedly, but he was 97% of the reason why they lost that game. He threw some horrible interceptions. You're coming off a bye now, going on the road, divisional game. Like, this is it. This is your last stand of the 2024 season.
Upset City brewing potentially next on The Fan.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
On 1080 The Fan.
Our old friend Ken Barkley, Lockie Lockerson on Twitter, who we used to have on every Thursday at 8, and we miss dearly. Hope everything's going well for him.
Hopefully he's making a lot of money.
We put up a poll question. Should we bring back what's up when answering the phone? Yes, no, or God, no are your options. He responded, where's the God, yes option?
Thank you, Ken Barkley. That's a man of many talents and a genius. You know?
What's the play?
You know what the play is, Ken? What's up?
I'm not a dirty person.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You're damn right it is, Ken. It is so good.
I responded with the waitress from Tommy, but God, you're sick.
The hell's the matter with you?
I saw yesterday, Dirt, that Sylvester Stallone said Donald Trump is the new age George Washington.
George Washington. Now, does he have wooden teeth as well? Is that a thing? His wooden teeth.
He does have fake teeth.
Does he have fake teeth? He's got to have fake teeth.
Yeah, dude. Have you seen him?
The fake teeth thing is always funny to me. There was somebody, I can't remember who it was. There was somebody the other day that was doing a news bit or an athlete, and I was like, God, those are the fakest teeth I have ever seen, man.
Rex Ryan is.
Maybe that's who it was.
Rex Ryan's
Maybe it was,
at the top of
yes,
this list, dude.
just big old horse
Huge.
veneers. Like, dude, tone those down a little bit.
Rex Ryan
Nibbling on his wife's toes.
is the Freddie Freeman of sports television.
Yes, he definitely is.
Just massively fake white teeth.
Think of the guy in Dennis the Menace with the big teeth when he gets them replaced. Whoa, what's going on
What
there?
I don't know about these people is if all of these teeth can come out, or if they're glued on veneers, or they're just fake.
If they're
dentures.
implants or it's a denture,
Right.
I don't think those are either veneers or true implants.
I have
Those
Rex
aren't
Ryan
coming out.
taking those out with his wife's feet in front of his face. Dropping them in a cup
You
of
think
water.
she likes the gums more than the teeth? She doesn't want the nibble on the toes. She wants like the soft gums.
It's about the only exciting thing I have to look forward to as an old
For me
man.
to go yet.
Nibbling with no teeth. You're looking
Swag,
forward to that?
You're going to be the first one to experience this in our lives. We're going to need a real full review on this topic at some point down the road.
Take those teeth out, Swag.
What's that like?
I don't do feet.
It's a great drop.
That needs to be a drop.
Do we have college football upsets looming this weekend as we transition?
I think we might, man. I think there's a lot of candidates out there this weekend.
I'm going to rattle it off.
You
We don't
rattle it
think
off.
Wisconsin's beating Oregon.
No.
No, I don't. But my antennas of it being a funky game are up. I love how we say this every week and act like upsets don't happen in college
They
football.
do happen
Not
in
to
college
this
football.
magnitude.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll save that for Monday. All right. Let's just not talk about the game then.
We'll get to it at 7 o'clock.
Okay. I'm just saying.
God.
They played 8 in a row. Wisconsin's coming off a bye. Oregon didn't play very good last weekend.
You're such a worrywart.
That's what happens.
He sounds like a special teams coordinator.
He does sound like a special teams coordinator. 20 made field goals in a row. Yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see if we can get to 21.
Could jinx it. You never know.
Ohio State at Northwestern.
No.
Oh, wait. I thought we have to give credence to all upset alerts here.
You're really going to do that? Really? Really?
I had to do it one time.
Okay.
Texas at Arkansas.
There's
Yes.
something there for sure. It's a revisit of a rivalry that used to
Circling
play
that one,
every
right?
year. Arkansas has been up and down this year. They were a team that was pulled off a big upset at home, and they've also been obliterated at home. They knocked off Tennessee earlier this season with a good defensive effort. Texas has been kind of on cruise control over the last month or so.
They have, yeah.
Haven't really been challenged by anybody since the Georgia game. They played Florida and Vanderbilt the last 2 games, and the Vanderbilt game was a field goal game, to give them credit. So you're going on the road in an old rivalry game between Arkansas and Texas. Definitely something there
And
for
Arkansas can score. They can move the football. They can hit big plays. They have the potential to, they have the proverbial puncher's chance.
Yeah, they against LSU they scored 10. Against A&M they scored 17.
me. Yeah, they got whooped a couple of times.
I'm not saying they do score.
No,
all
I
the
know.
time,
I'm trying to look through what their schedule
Yeah.
has been lately. And against their ranked opponents, they did beat Tennessee 19-14. So that wasn't a high scoring affair.
They're the only team to beat Tennessee this year.
Not that the number is the indicator here. What's weird about this game and why I've circled it, all jokes aside about upset possibilities, 12? It's a weird number.
Yeah.
It's a very weird number.
It's a very weird number for a number 3 ranked team against an unranked 5-4 middling SEC team. Utah at Colorado.
I don't see much there. I just
don't
it's at
think
home.
I don't think the Utes can score enough.
That conference doesn't kind of for you guys maybe just keep the antenna up of
I think they put everything into the holy war and had it and didn't close the deal.
such a devastating
and I don't
result.
know what's left in the tank now mentally for those
Well, they
guys.
found an answer at quarterback last week, at least in the first half. Brendan Rose, I think, was his name.
And then he threw some inopportune picks.
Well, he wasn't great in the second half, but at least they had a little life. They've had no life as an offense, and now he's out for the year. So another Utah quarterback that played one game, looked decent, and then got hurt. So they're going back to Zach Wilson's younger brother, who was their guy for a
Isaac
bit, and then they
Wilson,
benched him, and so Isaac Wilson's back as their starter. It's been a weird week for them. With Utah's lack of offense, I have a hard time seeing them scoring enough. And it's not like Utah this year has been dominant defensively like we've been used to seeing.
Very interesting with Colorado, by the way, and we'll get to some of this in the second hour. Colorado seems like they're poised to flip like 4 dudes.
They got a chance to close strong.
There's some real intel that they might actually close pretty strongly with the recruiting class. So
now they just need Dion to stay and not go coach the Dallas Cowboys.
It feels like Schefter's hinting that the Saint thing could be real.
The Saint going to New Orleans?
I mean,
Same color scheme, doesn't even need to change anything out, black and gold.
Dirty really may dictate Shedeur to do the Eli thing, which I can't wait for everybody to be hot, bothered, and pissed about Shedeur doing that, and then never mention or cared that Eli did it.
The Mannings did it. The Elways did it.
Tell me what the difference could be there.
I can't
won't
think of
say
anything.
it out loud, but it will be interesting if the loud voices in all the rooms is like, how dare this kid? Who does he think he is?
Elway went and played minor league baseball with the Yankees.
Yeah, he told the
force
Colts,
the
get me
Colts
out of here.
hand.
I'm not playing, man. I'm not going to do it.
I wouldn't blame at this point watching the NFL and what's happening to quarterbacks around the league.
Yes,
wouldn't fault it at all. Not a single set. And if it's New Orleans because his dad's the coach, I would certainly understand that given what his career has been at Colorado.
Yeah.
Clemson at Pittsburgh, anything for you guys? I think Pittsburgh's been exposed as a fraud.
I don't know what an upset would be. I don't know that necessarily.
It's 11.5 point spread.
I mean, Clemson's still alive in the ACC title race, technically. I believe they're behind SMU and Miami. SMU hasn't lost a conference game, and Miami has won, but I think they own the tiebreaker over Clemson currently.
Yeah, but Swag, this spread is almost identical to Texas-Arkansas. I think it's the same upside.
Yeah, there's something there for me for sure. I was high on Clemson about a month ago. That Louisville loss was damning and alarming and concerning. You go back to the game last week against Virginia Tech. They got some pretty fluky's not the right word, but they caught some turnovers in that game that were miraculous one-handed kind of catches. And so that was a game they were down 7-0 at halftime on the road at Virginia Tech, and then all of a sudden woke up and outscored them 24-7 in the second half. I don't put it past anybody to upset Clemson. Now, I don't think Pitt's very good, but you tell me they go on the road, decent atmosphere, Clemson lays an egg, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
We have a lot to get to in the second hour. We're going to carry over with some college football. Dan Lanning scouting Wisconsin. We'll get to that. And Trent Bray saying the quiet thing very loudly at a press conference. We didn't get to that when it came out, so we'll get to that in the second hour of the show. Dirt and Sprague, Hour 2 on the Odyssey app and the Fan.
On the Fan.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
KFXX, KWJJ, HD2, Portland. An Odyssey sports station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, a win Saturday for top-ranked Oregon at Wisconsin will send them to the Big Ten championship game. Kickoff against the Badgers right here on The Fan at 4:30. Ducks currently 14-point favorites. Our live pregame coverage on The Fan will begin at noon. Beavers, desperate to end their 4-game losing streak, take on the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs Saturday, 12:30. You can see it on the CBS Sports Network. Ryan Gilbranson expected to get the start at quarterback. Beavs 3.5-point favorites. Eagles had to overcome 2 missed field goal attempts, a missed extra point from their kicker, but they pulled away late from the Commanders for a 26-18 win thanks to Saquon Barkley, who went over the 1,000-yard mark on the season with 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. College hoops tonight in Corvallis. Beavers will try to remain undefeated on the season, hosting winless Cal State Fullerton from Gill Coliseum at 7 o'clock. You can see it on ESPN+. Beavs 12.5-point favorite. And the Winterhawks are back home tonight. They host Red Deer at Memorial Coliseum. Puck drop 7 o'clock. Tickets available at winterhawks.com. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand. Dirt and Sprague on Football Friday on 1080 The Fan.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in. Look at that, second hour.
Right on the dot.
That's what I do, baby. Boom. You could never.
No, I'm always running late.
I dare you to be on time at 8 a.m.
No chance it happens. No chance.
Not a chance?
Not a chance in hell.
We got our NFL pressure cooker to get to. Swag will be gone for that.
He will. He's leaving at 8 today.
He's got a big Pilots roadie. He'll be out most of next week as well. Big Pilots tournament.
Ooh. It's not even Thanksgiving week yet. Were you doing basketball tournaments?
That's
Is
what
it already
it
a
is,
thing?
man.
We just start in the middle of November now?
Yeah.
Early tournaments?
All sorts of stuff.
All right.
The Myrtle Beach Invitational.
Yeah, you're going to be at Myrtle Beach next week.
Yeah.
This bastard's taking his golf clubs to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina next
Well,
week.
he's a professional. I want to say that at the
He
front.
is.
But what
He
he won't
works hard.
say is this is more about golf and going
Yes.
to Myrtle Beach than it is the basketball.
Yeah, that's like a top 10 golf destination in the United States.
I think looking at where the hotel, if all the information I've been given is accurate, there are probably 4 golf courses we could walk to from the hotel.
I hate you. I just want you to know that. I hate you. I hate
Pisses
you.
rain and
I
it's
hate you.
80-mile-an-hour
Yeah.
winds.
I hope there's a damn hurricane that comes through the town. That's what I hope.
Oh, no. Whoa.
Well, not a hurricane. 1 degree or a 1 star. What do they call them? Category 1. Category 1 hurricane. Strong winds, a little bit of rain, you'll be fine.
It would be funny if we used hurricanes as like star system rankings in high school
recruiting.
football going to
It's
college.
a 2-star. Not
That's
a lot of
that's
substance.
A category 3.
Helene
right
was
there.
a 4-star quarterback. She was dangerous.
He was dangerous, yeah. Had a chance to be a 5-star.
We have a lot to get to in the second hour of the program. You can reach it at the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. They shoot you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them at vancouverford.com. You go to 1080 Fan Merch Locker right now. We've got Football's Football and It's Over, We Think, available.
It's over, we think.
He still isn't wearing the merch that is his phrase.
No. He's thinking so much about Myrtle Beach, too, that the listeners are saying that you just said either Ryan or Brian Gulbranson is starting for Oregon State this weekend.
Yeah, he's... I mean, look, he's done
It's
what
close.
we've needed him to do, but he's kind of
close.
checked out. He's leaving
He's ready
soon.
to go.
He's
thinking
ready
about
to go.
What's the weather in Long Beach right now? 74 and
he's
sunny?
thinking about all
No,
that.
it's in it's in the low 60s.
Oh,
Lows in the 40s.
Terrible.
A little
How
chilly.
sad.
Oh, you get to fly to Long Beach
little
and
nip
have
in the
free
air.
dinners and call
I
basketball.
haven't been to the Pyramid. I'm excited to do a game from the Pyramid.
Almost went to Long Beach Community College out of high school.
I'm excited to watch Brian Gulbranson this weekend.
Me too.
See how he does against Air Force.
Well, I hope Ryan comes in for Brian.
Ryan,
eventually.
yeah. If Ryan Gunderson was the quarterback of the Beavers, what would your chances be to win this weekend?
No, I'm talking about Ryan Gulbranson. He comes
Ryan.
in for Brian.
Okay.
His brother.
His brother. His evil brother coming in.
We'll get to Trent Bray. He said something on Wednesday. We haven't gotten to it yet. Been a little delayed on that, so my apologies, but we'll get to that. Dan Lanning on yesterday. They're at Wisconsin. You said this could be a weird game, potentially looming. 4:30 NBC kick. He gave his thoughts on Wisconsin and what they've been so far this year.
Well, they have some similarities from schematically to what Maryland does offensively, with the RPO game and some of those things that they carry. Defensively, I don't know that we've played anybody that does just exactly what they do, but they're big up front on the offensive line. They've got some dynamic slot receivers and good backs. Defensively, I think they're really sound and definitely got some guys that can make plays up front, and their secondary are really good tacklers. So they have some talent. I don't think their record really reflects who they are. They've been hot and cold at times this year, but they certainly have some talent on their team.
I dismiss it a little bit, and I certainly give you grief about it. I understand why you look at this, and given what Oregon did last week against Maryland and different points in the season, been a little clunky. I kind of just put Wisconsin in the Illinois category for me in my mind of kind of caliber team they are. Maybe can play and hang a little bit, but ultimately the talent gap will show itself. Wisconsin under Luke Fickell is 2-14 against top 25 teams.
Not good.
And I think he's 0-5 at home.
Sounds about right. They've lost 2 at home this year to Alabama and to Penn State.
So, I understand your perspective. I think or think your Ducks are going to win, but you hold out this I don't want to be caught off guard alert. He is largely that. It's interesting. I read an AP story, Dirt, about where these two programs have gone since they met in the 2020 Rose Bowl. And it was an interesting look. 2-14 in the last 16 games against top 25 teams, 0-5 under Luke Fickell.
Not a good number.
This program has gone the wrong way since these two teams met in the Rose Bowl, and Oregon is sustained, and I could argue easily they have improved since. So the rematch for them for the first time in 4 years and what they've done post-meeting in Pasadena.
Yeah, look, I mean, if Oregon brings their B-plus game, they win this game by 17 points.
What if they bring their C-plus game?
That's when the question comes in. What Oregon team do you get? And that's where last week, I know it was easy to laugh at Maryland's coming to town. Maryland's not very good. This could be a bloodbath. It was 29-18 early in the fourth quarter. And now they ended up tacking on 10 more points. They ended up winning the game by 21. They didn't quite cover the number, but it was a comfortable 21-point win for them. Didn't have to sweat it out a ton, but it was a 29-18 game when Maryland scored a touchdown with 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I would argue last week that Oregon played their C game. Now, that was at home. I think you're splitting hairs a little bit. Who do you think's better, Maryland or Wisconsin? They both shown flashes this year. They both have nice wins. They've both been blown out in big games. So I don't know who the better team is, but I do know that Oregon is having to do something this weekend that no other power conference team has had to do all year, and that is they've now, after this weekend, will have played 8 consecutive conference games without a bye. There's no other power team that's had to do that this year, and they're facing, by the way, the second straight team in that list that is coming off a bye themselves. Wisconsin hasn't played since their blowout loss to Iowa the first weekend of November. They were off this past weekend, and so they've had 2 weeks to sit around, get ready for this game plan, come up with wrinkles, get healthy, right? Review what the hell went wrong against Iowa. They've just been sitting around waiting for you, and you're playing your 8th consecutive Big Ten game. So on from a talent standpoint, no. Wisconsin can't hang with Oregon. Their quarterback's a little limited. He turns the ball over a lot. There's not really any metric or number or position group that you would point to and say, God, that's a better group than what Oregon has, and that's going to be the reason that Wisconsin wins the game. So I understand the logic going in of people just thinking, well, it's going to be a blowout. That's just assuming that Oregon brings their A game, and that's not easy to do when you've played 7 consecutive games, and for the third time in 5 weeks, you're traveling multiple time zones out to the East Coast. So that's where the concern lies for me. I do like the fact that they were sluggish and down a little bit last week. I'm hoping that's not the start of a trend, and it's all right, that was a nice little wake-up call. We played like crap against Maryland. Let's not do that again, and it kind of resharpens the focus going into these final 2 regular season games for them. But if they look like they did last week against Maryland, you're going to find yourself in a dogfight in Camp Randall.
So their road games, Oregon on the road, 49-14 at Oregon State, 21-point win against UCLA, 35-point win against Purdue, and a 21-point win against Michigan. They, for some odd reason,
Michigan game too. They scored a touchdown.
It's a little
with 20
misleading,
seconds
sure,
left.
But they were largely in control, right? Michigan had some moments, but
they had the drive to try and make it a 1-score game, and they couldn't convert the 4th down. But that had the chance to be a little bit tighter.
Certainly, I think overall we agree though what the difference looked like watching most of that game. My point is they kind of seem to get up a little more for their road games. And it's not that they haven't handled their home field. 31-10 on the scoreboard against Michigan State looks great. That was a weird start to that game, too,
Threw
right?
a couple of picks.
The picks, the Aiden Childs touchdown, they figured it out and got it along the way. The Illinois game, they kind of handled that one, though. That was
over pretty quick. That was the one
the
where
second half, there wasn't much happening.
That was like 35-3 at halftime.
And Maryland game was weird, but the result ended up being a 21-point victory. My point is, I just there is something about the road with this team. And maybe this is kind of the pro-Oregon argument for the playoff. Not that you need me to make it. They're already amazing at number 1. Maybe going on the road in a, quote, neutral site for their first playoff game if they win the Big Ten. Maybe that's almost just like a positive. It's just like this team seems to lock in on the road.
Yeah.
And there's something about going into a building and silencing that crowd. You saw that in the Michigan video. That Lanning and company seem to really like. I want to ask you about Fickell. What do you make of Luke Fickell in Wisconsin?
I don't know what to make of him. It's so hard because in modern college football, you have balancing thoughts in your head at the same time where you want to be patient and give somebody time. But also you have more tools at your disposal to win in a short term now than you ever have. And so I don't know if my same philosophy of, back in the day it used to be you give a guy a full recruiting cycle and then see where you're at basically going into year 4. That does not happen anymore. You have the ability to flip rosters relatively quickly. You have the ability to hit the transfer portal, hit on a couple of recruits, and all of a sudden your luck can change. To be fair to him, they brought in Tyler Van Dyke to be their starting quarterback this year, the transfer from Miami. He got hurt early in the Alabama game. Yeah. They've played the rest of the year with their backup quarterback, who, again, has been pretty limited and thrown a pick in every game that he's had to play.
Braden Locke. He's thrown 3 interceptions with 1 touchdown during their 2-game skid.
It hasn't been good. In big, I think the only game he hasn't thrown a pick was the Alabama game. He didn't start the Alabama game. He came in relief when Van Dyke got hurt.
8 tuds, 8 interceptions.
Yeah, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt of he's only in year 2, and you want to see maybe where you go in year 3. But what I would say is that if they lose this weekend, we'll see how the rest of the year goes for them. There's no guarantee they're going to a bowl game, by the way. They go to Nebraska after this and play. That's a toss-up game for me. And then they close in Minnesota, who's been another really weird, hot and cold Big Ten team where some weeks they look great and other weeks they're just getting drilled and you're like, what the hell happened to Minnesota? So there's a chance they miss out on a bowl game. If I told you that when you hired Luke Fickell in year 2 you're not going to a bowl game, you are not happy in any way, shape, or form. And next year becomes a very big year.
So they hosted Alabama at home. Remember that one? That was a 9 a.m. kick. They lost that one 42-10. That was the game that
Tyler Van Dyke
went out.
Down.
And then they hosted Penn State on October 26th. And this is where I kind of see it in my mind. Penn State beat them 28-13. I think that could be 31-13 or 35-13 this week, and it's kind of how I see this one playing out.
They hung around. I mean, to be fair to them, they hung around in that game. That wasn't a separation. Penn State scored 14 in the fourth quarter.
But I think Oregon is better than Penn State.
Totally
so that's
fair.
Why I'm looking at that result.
Totally fair.
You mentioned their streak as well. They are 1 win away from being bowl eligible. They have gone to a bowl game 22 straight seasons.
It's a pretty remarkable number. Got to be one of the longest streaks in the country, I would think.
If he doesn't win this weekend and then they don't win at Nebraska.
I mean, I think they'll get one of the last 2, but it's not a guarantee. Those are toss-up games.
Minnesota can beat this team with this quarterback play.
Yes,
Nebraska can beat them at Nebraska.
Yeah, we'll see what they look like coming off a bye at USC this weekend.
It's just interesting to think about. I didn't really, consider that they're meeting for the first time since the 2020 Rose Bowl. And where it has gone is just they're in the Illinois, Maryland. Those 3 teams to me are the same in my mind. Maybe even Minnesota too. They're just kind of all clumped up together, and they can each beat each other.
They're interchangeable every single week. And like, all right, they look good this week. Then they look. This has been Wisconsin. I mean, this year.
Well, not largely. This has been Wisconsin the last couple of years, but not like in the last 15 years.
Not in the last 15 years. I'm just saying this year they have been the epitome of that, where they have games early in the season where they get blown out by Alabama. Now that's you don't. Throw them down a flight of stairs for that. And then they have a stretch where they go 52-6 win over Purdue, 42-7 on the road at Rutgers, and then they dominated Northwestern. Now, none of those teams are world beaters, but they looked head and shoulders better than them. Then you have the close loss to Penn State, and then they somehow lost 42-10 to Iowa. The Iowa team who couldn't beat UCLA this weekend. I think that middle part of the Big Ten is so interchangeable. And to me, it's one of the biggest things that they got to figure out as a conference is – you know that Ohio State's going to be great. You know that Oregon's not going anywhere. I think there's a little bit of a benefit of the doubt that Michigan will figure it out, and Penn State can't beat the great teams, but they're a really good program. Outside of that, now Indiana's an outlier this year. We'll see if they can maintain it. It's that next crop of team. Like somebody else has to arrive and be a top 20, like Wisconsin, Michigan State, Nebraska,
get Nebraska,
USC. Like who is that? You need another
Washington.
team. Like, this is the difference between the Big Ten and the SEC that I will argue. I find it a little funny they have 4 of the top 5 teams in the country, and I think that will change in the coming weeks. But it's that next batch of teams that's just all 5-4, 6-3, 6-4, 5-5. Like, that's who everybody else is, from basically Iowa all the way down to Michigan State and Rutgers. You basically go from 6-4 to 4-5, and there's like 9 or 10 teams that are jumbled together.
Who would you guys pick to come out of that clumped up group that's just looming and saying you need one more good team instead of a bunch
in
of
the
middling
next
teams.
year or two.
It should be USC.
USC. I think what Matt Rule's got going at Nebraska, if they can keep Raiola and they can develop him, and so he, doesn't have some of the knucklehead desperation run around.
You feel that way if they don't go bowling this year? Because that seemed like a sure thing at one point, and now it's like, I don't know if they're going to win a game.
Not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee.
That UCLA game was kind of like, what?
Yeah, I know.
What's
but
happening?
to be fair, though, that UCLA's playing better football now. That's the unique part about it.
You need to go back to when that happened. You did not see that score and go,
no,
oh, this
not
makes
at all.
sense. UCLA's not bad.
Not at
I
all.
was like, holy crap.
Yeah, their last 3 games are USC, Wisconsin, and Iowa. They need to get one of them to go to a bowl game.
I think their momentum is going in the right direction, and if Rule is content and he's like, okay, I tried the NFL, I did all these other things.
Nobody's hiring him.
No, but for him, in his mind, if he's like, I just want to be here and see if I can build something, and he's not looking for his next option.
Well, if he is, you have the wrong coach.
Yeah, no question.
It's not to say that he wouldn't take a better college job. It's like,
yeah,
he's done nothing so far at Nebraska in terms of results. So, like, why is he thinking about another job when you need to be good at this job?
Yeah, I know.
But then again, Scott Frost did that too, and that didn't work out well for the program. So you would take Nebraska?
I think the next couple of years, Nebraska could be that team to pop.
I think it all depends on Raiola and how good he is and what they build around him, because you could argue he's maybe the best or has the most potential of any of that crop of quarterbacks that's coming up in the next group of teams. But you got to surround him with talent. They fired their offensive, or demoted. I don't know what they actually did with him, but he's no longer calling plays. They brought in Dana Holgerson as an offensive analyst the week before the bye.
They demoted the Satterfield
Demoted,
guy.
And then now all of a sudden Dana Holgerson was brought in as an analyst, and now he's their offensive coordinator. And he's calling plays 2 weeks later. So
and I think they said they want him to be the OC next year.
This is basically a tryout of like, you're going to be the guy likely. I'll give you one number on the Oregon-Wisconsin game that I think is relevant and interesting. Wisconsin this year in the Big Ten, their rush defense is second to last. They're giving up 164 yards per game. The only defense that's worse than them in the Big Ten in stopping the run is Purdue. And so that, to me, is the ultimate telltale. If Oregon can go in and run the football, it simplifies everything that they want to do. It makes them stay ahead of the chains. It gets them into a momentum offensively that at times against Maryland last week. I know at the end of the game they rushed for 180 yards, and you look at the numbers, it's great. Part of that was inflated by Jordan Birch having nearly a 40-yard run. So if you take that out on the fake punt, they had 30 carries for basically 140 yards. That's not a great clip at home against Maryland. It was nice to see Noah Whittington have a big game, but that's the one that I circle. If that stat is true and Oregon can run the football at ease against Wisconsin, they'll win this game by 21 points.
Could be 11-0 for the first time since 2010. Interesting note about that. Why can't, by the way, for a team that's having a great year, I know we'll go. For a team that's having a great year, we talk about the middling of this conference. We've seen Iowa be good. We've seen Wisconsin in our lives be good. I don't know if you trust Illinois. I don't know what you do with Sharon Moore in Michigan. There's all these teams how come we're not talking about Indiana just being this team that stays?
They could be.
Signetti could really have something real. Now, I know a lot of this is James Madison transfer carryovers, but Google him. He wins. So it's like, I wonder if Indiana just fills in that gap of where we think Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, whoever it is going to be.
They just got a big-time flip. I can't remember where the kid was committed originally, but they got a kid to flip. He's an in-state kid. I think he was committed to a bigger school elsewhere. That just came out earlier this week.
They're a fun brand of football, too, so it's like that might be a reason for some kids to go to that
Their
place.
recruiting class currently is 48th in the country, and that's where, in order for this to be sustainable, that can't be 40. You cannot compete with Ohio State and Oregon and Penn State every year if you're recruiting barely in the top 50.
We have more on the landscape of college, which Dirt brought up yesterday. 2 local coaches talking about it. We'll get to that next on The Fan.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
Poll question is up. What is more egregious on November 15th? Christmas lights or Halloween decor?
I mean, this is an easy answer.
Seems to be that so far the results are showing that.
Don't shame people who want to get a little ho-ho-ho in their life a couple of weeks early.
I know, but you're like 2 weeks removed from Halloween and you're over a month away from Christmas.
Yeah.
So it is kind of an in-between point of...
We turn the page quickly.
Okay.
Turn the page, on to the next opponent. Halloween's over. We skip over Thanksgiving right to Christmas.
Larry wants to know if Oregon reaches the title game and loses, is this the greatest year in football history?
You mean in Oregon history?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they got all the way to a national championship...
Better than Mariota's year, huh?
Well, you'd have to win multiple playoff games to get there. Whether they win or lose the Big Ten, it would take at least 2 playoff wins. And if you don't win the Big Ten, it would take 3 playoff wins to get there. So, yeah, considering how many you would be at that point, either 14-1 or 15-0, or, depending on what happens this weekend, yeah, I would say this is probably the best year.
Something that doesn't really hit the NFL, and I've always been interested of how it doesn't hit the NFL, but it hits the NBA very hard. It hits baseball a little bit, and now it is hitting college football. And I think it's something to kind of follow the next couple years of, I think this hits college football the same way it hits the NBA. The transfer portal and uncertainty of rosters from year to year is the minute a kid is benched, he's departed, right? We mentioned Castellanos at Boston College got benched. He's gone. He's not even on the team anymore. We had Sluka at UNLV say, hey, you didn't give me my NIL, I'm out. I quit.
Yeah, there's a kid at Oregon State last week that entered the portal. I mean, this happens late in the season.
And I do think this is the problem with college football for people is they do watch it, but like I've heard the most about, I don't know who's on teams anymore. It's kind of college basketball in a certain way.
You follow your team, and that's kind of all you know.
Well, we mentioned you played the cut, or you talked about Washington State with the Mateer thing looming.
Yeah, there's $1 million offer reportedly already from a power school for him.
And so, like, this is not going away for anybody. And Dan Lanning yesterday was on primetime, as he is every week, and he was talking about how you kind of have to recruit your own roster.
I think you hope that conversations like that are happening all the time with the players in your program, and they have a good feel for where they're at and where they can improve. I don't think that can be something that just happens once at the end of the season or once in May. It's about having, great relationships throughout the season and throughout the year of what that looks like. And it takes a level of trust, too, that they feel like they're growing in your program and those things are happening for them. But it's hard the way the windows are set up and how demanding the season is to find time to say, okay, let's do exit interviews with everybody this week. It's just hard to make that occur whenever you have so many other things going on in the season. So you hope there's a good enough relationship that if a kid feels a certain way, he'll walk into your office and talk to you as a coach.
He also talked about year-round, kind of round-the-clock free agency. You're always kind of thinking about the next guys to bring in versus keeping on your team. Here he was yesterday.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Definitely different. I mean, to have free agency more than one time a year, multiple times a year, is really kind of what happens. And you hope that your culture, overcomes that, and you have players that, understand the process and what that's going to look like. But every person's, different. Every individual's different. So you always have to do a great job of painting a vision for what it looks like if they continue to stay here and build in this program. But then on the same note, take advantage of the opportunities that exist out there when guys do enter the portal and other programs.
So he's acknowledging what it is. Trent Bray, at his press conference on Wednesday, was asked by Nick Daschel about keeping rosters together at Oregon State. And he kind of pressed him on how much are we talking about. And here was Trent Bray.
Oh, geez. I don't – I mean, it's always a product and demand thing. Right? What are some of the schools that are going to come after our players, going to offer them to try to get them in the portal? So you're always looking at that, and the collective and everyone's done a good job of continuing to raise the bar that way. But as far as an exact number, I couldn't give.
Well, just an estimate. I mean, millions and millions, or do you?
It's in the millions, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Oregon State claims their roster management is in the millions.
Just to keep their guys around, and then in order to get guys that maybe they'd have a chance to help them win in the short term or flip things.
Do you believe that? Because I heard this Wednesday, and we didn't get to it Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm sorry about that, and we waited till Friday, but I heard this, and I went and watched the clip. And I'm not saying Trent Bray doesn't know. He would know better than I would. But like, what on that roster costs millions of dollars?
That was my thought.
I think they might be 4-8 this year.
You could have argued that last year, maybe with Childs, Martinez, the
Absolutely.
defenders that you
Yes.
lost. I mean,
Yes.
half their starting defense enter the transfer portal as well. So maybe that was what he was thinking of, like, what does it take to maintain a winning roster that would take millions? Because that would have been millions of dollars probably to keep all those guys. I had the same thought when I heard that this week, though. I don't know what. Like, John Matera is a unique thing in Washington State right now where he's having a really good year as a quarterback. Quarterbacks are always going to be the biggest commodity. I don't think there's anybody on Oregon State's roster right now that's getting a $500,000 offer thrown at him from a Power 4 school.
I don't know who it would be.
Their best player is Josh Gray, and he's leaving for the NFL after this year, so he's going to the next level.
Isaiah Chisholm might be in that.
Yeah,
Chisholm's having a good year.
10 guys at $100,000 is $1 million.
Do you think there's 10 players
I don't think
on
there's
this
10
team
guys that are
making
making
100,000?
100,000. That's where
They're a middle. I mean, look, I love
I
my
don't
alma
know.
mater. They're a middling Midwest team or Mountain West team.
I think we vastly over
I do too.
value how much these guys are making.
I do too.
In our heads.
Yeah.
And so what I'll say for the Oregon side of it, and Lanning talking about it, like they've had a really good track record of not having guys transfer, despite that being a common joke that's made when they see recruiting classes or transfer portal guys at sign of like, oh, I can't wait to see what the portal looks like. Can't wait to see how many decommits or guys are bouncing. Hasn't really hit them. Now, number one is you have to have money in order to recruit your own roster. And Oregon clearly has enough money that there's not going to be a lot of places outside of Eugene where you're going to get an offer thrown at you where the financial reward is going to be bigger. But I also think it leads back to who he is as a coach, the culture that he's created inside the program where he's not just selling guys a bill of goods and lying to them about playing time or telling them certain things that are not going to come to fruition. Because if that was happening, you would have more guys that were leaving despite the money. Guys aren't just going to take a paycheck to sit on a bench because they were lied to, because they were told they were going to come in and start. So you look at the guys who have transferred. Dante Thornton's having a really good run down at Tennessee. He left after Lanning's first year. Dante Dowdell was a running back who was buried on the depth chart, transferred to Nebraska, and he's been their starting running back all year. Like guys like that, it genuinely makes sense for them. But for the players that are immediate impact players at Oregon, they've had very few that have ever had a wandering eye or had to leave. It is a constant, though, for these coaches that you have to always be recruiting your own roster and making sure your relationships are where you want them to be. So these guys, when the portal opens, don't say, all right, I'm out. I want to go play somewhere else.
Okay, but answer me this really quickly, and then we'll go. If Oregon State is not taking a huge step next year, and they're not the best team in the new conference, I know that's down the road, but like if they're just kind of, if they're slightly better or
5-7,
this,
6-6 next year.
If they're in, are we going to hear about how they just didn't get quite the support they needed? Like,
probably.
I feel like coaches, they're not outright doing that, but I do feel like coaches.
Oh, they're definitely doing that.
They're kind of hinting at it.
Definitely
like you've
doing
heard
that.
coaches openly say, we need donations, right? We had Gundy put a QR code on a helmet, for God's sakes.
We did. Lane Kiffin ranted about this when they lost by 60 to Georgia last year. He's like, you know how we beat them? You spend money. You give me NIL funds, and then they beat them this year.
I was honestly surprised to hear him admit this out loud, Trent Bray. Of all the coaches, I didn't think he would say this stuff publicly, and I know he was asked the question, so I appreciate him answering it. But then being pressed and saying it's in the millions, then you're screwed. I don't know what to tell you. I think you're screwed if that is your requirement.
I don't know what their budget is behind it. I don't know what kind of NIL money they got coming in. I don't know what the numbers are. I can't imagine it's great, but
it's not great.
Yeah.
Boise State's going to outdo them in this race. They know how to operate in this space. Washington State is ahead of you in this space right now.
Yeah, and we'll find out. I mean, one of the arguments for Washington State and Oregon State is that outside of Cam Ward, there weren't a lot of guys on the Washington State roster. Like, I think Oregon State had a better roster than Washington State, I guess is what I would say. There were more guys that were poachable from their team last year, despite the fact that Washington State beat them in the regular season.
Yes.
But Cam Ward was their biggest piece. They lost him. Washington State's going to go through this offseason. Now, I don't know how many guys.
We said that last year, didn't we?
We did, but they weren't 11-1 last year, and they have a decent chance of losing their quarterback. Like, it's going to this stuff, unfortunately, is going to flow uphill, and the big fish are going to continue to eat the littler fish. And if you don't have your ducks in a row, you got to go do it to smaller schools, and you got to find the smaller schools and get those guys that can come in and pay them and try and have them be impact players for you.
Final thought. I know I'm against it, Swag, so I'm sorry. Final thought on this, too. What I don't like about this world, aside from, like, having to remember who went where and, like, oh, yeah, that's right, that guy. I feel like it is kind of used as a cop-out for coaches that when they don't win, it's, you want to win? I need more. And it's like, you're making $13 million a year. I thought we paid you that dollar figure to figure this out.
Yeah.
And Bray is not in this, but I mean, if he's talking about this openly, what is it going to be if they're middling next year And so, like, I just kind of view this as an easy cop-out for coaches, too. Not that it doesn't impact it or matter, but I do find it as a little bit of a cop-out of, yeah, if we could win, we need more money. And it's like Dillingham is outright telling you in Tempe, just shut up and evolve.
Yeah,
and
figure it out.
Yeah, figure
this is
it
the
out.
landscape. We got to deal with
He
it.
lost his quarterback last year. Went and got Sam Levin, a local kid. He's got Scatabo, who's been banged up. Lanning's kind of the same way, and Oregon obviously operates much better than a lot, but Lanning's kind of just shut up and figure it out, evolve with the times.
Yeah, he gets asked constantly. I know they asked him about it yesterday of, like, how do you juggle? The National Signing Day is the same week as the Big Ten championship game. Like, you could not have designed a calendar that is worse for college football coaches, and he gets asked all the time, how would you change it and what would you like to see? And he'll give you some of an answer, but at the end of it, he always says, but this is the world we live in. And so what am I going to do? Not recruit? Am I not going to coach? Like, we're working 24 hours a day, and then, eventually we'll sleep when the season's over come February and March.
Did you see Sankey say yesterday, no team that gets in the SEC title game and loses is going to miss out on the playoff? And it was like, Georgia literally did that last year.
Last year they did. 12-teamer, not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
We have a lot more to get into. We'll Sprague the line at 8:30, so get the Sprague line sponsors in at the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. We got the NFL pressure cooker to get to as well. The daily ticker around the corner. Dirt and Sprague back with more on The Fan.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the top-ranked Oregon Ducks looking to clinch a spot in the Big Ten championship game with a victory in Madison tomorrow. They take on the Wisconsin Badgers right here on The Fan. Kickoff at 4:30. Ducks are 14-point favorites. We'll have live pregame coverage on The Fan beginning at noon. Beavers desperately need to end a 4-game losing streak there in Colorado Springs to face Air Force. 12:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Ryan Goldbranson expected to get the start of quarterback. Beavs 3.5-point favorites. Georgia Bulldogs ruling out number 1 running back Trevor Etienne for Saturday's must-win showdown against Tennessee due to an upper body injury. Eagles overcame a slow start to get the Commanders and pull away late 26-18. Saquon Barkley got it rolling in the second half. He eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark for the season, finished with 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. College hoops tonight in Corvallis. Beavers trying to remain undefeated on this season. They host winless Cal State Fullerton from Gill Coliseum, 7 o'clock. You can see it on ESPN Plus. Beavs 12.5-point favorites. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesday On 1080 The Fan. In this wide world of sports, some stories can slip through the cracks.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules.
Pelican Brewing presents The Daily Ticker, where Dirt and Sprague hit the big stories you've heard about, and some you haven't.
How'd you do that? Actually, I'm not even mad. It's amazing.
The Daily Ticker with Dirt and Sprague is poured by Pelican Brewing. Celebrate the season with a Northwest tradition. Bad Santa Cascadian Dark Ale. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach.
All right, Daily Ticker time brought to you by Pelican Brewing's Bad Santa, the Cascadian Dark Ale that brings holiday cheer to your glass. Get on the naughty list with Bad Santa. The best thing about having them back as a sponsor, usually it would just be for our summer window. We'd get them like May through September. They'd do the big summer months. We never got to pub Bad Santa, and I think Bad Santa might be my favorite beer.
An iconic box.
Just an iconic box. It's delicious.
Yep.
This time of year, it kind of warms the heart a little bit.
Does it?
I love it, man. I love it. For the Daily Ticker today, let's talk about tonight's football game, and then we'll kind of lead into the other local schools for this weekend.
Okay.
In terms of a game that I have no clue what to expect, none whatsoever, the Washington Huskies are hosting the UCLA Bruins tonight.
I find that interesting. You don't know what to expect?
I don't know what to expect. Is UCLA good?
They're not the worst. I don't know if they're good.
Is Washington good?
At home, they are.
Okay.
I think we know that, don't we? Don't we know they're the opposite of themselves? When they go to the road, they crap the bed. When they play at home, they're
pretty good.
A formidable team that can serve at home.
I don't know if I'd use the word formidable, but yeah, they're okay.
What's their record on the road home split?
I mean, it's very different.
So home, I would say
Okay.
home team, they're formidable. They beat Michigan at home. They beat USC.
Okay.
You can't say like Michigan is not the worst team in the Big Ten.
So we think blowout tonight? Huskies blow them out then? Is that what you're thinking?
That's not at all what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what's going to happen tonight because UCLA's playing better football. They're coming off a nice win at home against Iowa last weekend, a game that nobody thought. They went on the road and beat Nebraska 2 weeks ago.
I think it's going to be
a game nobody thought.
Weird, clunky, odd.
That's why I don't know. Like I know Washington's better at home,
but that's kind of my point. Is like I hear. I guess the result. I hear your point.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what the result of the game's going to be.
Yeah, but like I don't know what to expect. You expect Washington to play much better at home than they do on the road. And last week was of the most embarrassing moments for them. I wasn't shocked at all that they got blown out by Penn State. But
no,
when they come back home, they seemingly hit a reset button that programs them into being a different team.
It's a big one for them. They need a win likely to get to bowl eligibility. Their last game is at Oregon. They both have a bye week next week leading into the final game of the regular season.
They will not beat Oregon. I give them no chance in that game.
They got to win this one to get to bowl eligibility, which would be a nice mark for Jed Fish, I guess, in year one. I don't know what the expectations were kind of a scatter plot coming into the year a little bit for everybody.
What was there? Let me go look at their over-under because I know it was like 6-6, 7-5. 8-4, 5-7 was that was the spectrum for them, and I don't know where
all over the map for different people depending on how you felt about the team. I think 6-6 would probably be near the bottom of the expectations for Husky fans, and I would imagine the over/under was somewhere around 5.5, 6.5 going into the year.
Give me a second here.
Would be my guess. But for that note, it is an important game in order to figure it out. They were asked again last week if there was any plans to bench their quarterback, Will Rogers, who was not good, but it wasn't all on him when they lost to Penn State. And Jed Fish maintained again that no, they will not be benching him. Last week against Penn State, he was only 10 of 13 for 59 yards and an interception. And so their offense just never found any sort of rhythm at all on the road.
This, according to Vegas Insider, their over-under was 7.5.
So the under will likely hit. Or the under will hit because they can't win it.
They're
they
not
can't
beating
win
Oregon. Dan Lanning, he wants to obliterate that team.
He's looking to send a message after the way the last 2 years went. But I'm excited for it tonight because it's a game that I genuinely going into. I know Washington's better at home, but UCLA's playing better football. I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if Washington at home is some unbeatable juggernaut. USC had the ball inside the 5-yard line twice in the fourth quarter of that game and just called horrendous plays. It was a game that was back and forth, a little clunky, and USC's probably better than UCLA this year, but I have no clue if they are or not. And so USC, you can make an argument, should have won that game a couple of weeks ago. So I don't look at this in any way, shape, or form like Washington can't be beaten at home. And UCLA, to me, is one of the better stories around the country over the last month. We mocked and ridiculed and made fun of them going all the way back to signing day when their coach had his appearance. They got bludgeoned early in the year by Indiana. bludgeoned by LSU, bludgeoned by Oregon, a little more competitive
Those
against
are good
Penn State.
losses, though. Like, I know you
Tough
have
teams.
bludgeon, but those aren't teams that we look at now and say, I can't believe they lost by 20.
This is a team that was 1-5 and everybody thought was the worst in the Big Ten, and they went on the road and beat Rutgers, went back on the road and beat Nebraska, and then came home and beat Iowa. They've won 3 games in a row.
That's a nice run for them.
And it's not like they have a short week here where they also played last Friday. And so they don't have the short week. Washington has more of a short week because they were in Penn State for a night game on Saturday night, probably didn't get back till late in the morning on Sunday. And so they have the shorter week here. I'm excited, man, because bowl eligibility is on the line for each team potentially. And if Washington misses out on a bowl, you're not done with Fish. It's only 1 year, but that would be a really disappointing start to his tenure.
Oh, yeah, going 5-7. When you brought in a couple dudes, and I know they're full restarting, everybody in the offense is new, all that stuff, but it just the way you have played at home, and UCLA has had a nice run here with this 3-game winning streak. This is it. Like, go win this game, be 6-6, and walk out of year one. Maybe you win a bowl game, so you go 7-6.
Yeah.
And you go into next year and say, hey, we salvaged it. It was obviously not the best, but what we did at home, who we're recruiting, who we're bringing in from the portal.
Yeah, you get to a bowl game,
year
you feel
2,
fine.
you can build yourself up into the next year.
You feel fine if you go to a bowl game. You lose tonight, that's 5-7. I don't know if that sours the mood at all, especially losing some of your recruits recently.
Where would Husky fan be if they lost tonight at home against UCLA? Is it like UCLA's been better and we're about the same level? Or is it a disappointment? Oh, my God, we can't beat UCLA at home?
I think coming into the year, if I told you can't beat UCLA at home at the end of the year to get to bowl eligibility, you're probably a little frustrated by that. A lot of it will depend on what happens in the next month in that signing period and how many guys they hold on to and how many guys they flip and where that class ends up being. That was the argument for Fish coming in. He's a good recruiter, and look what he built at Arizona. You got to start stacking recruiting classes in order to get there. Daily Ticker brought to you by Pelican Brewing's Bad Santa, the Cascadian Dark Ale that brings holiday cheer to your glass. Get on the naughty list with Bad Santa. Let's talk about Oregon State and Washington State, both in action this weekend. Can the Beavs finally get off the mat? We'll get the quarterback name right, and the Cougs looking to remain a one-loss team. We'll talk about those two teams coming up next on 1080 The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Woo! Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainshomservices.com.
Bold call, but I would also say we're prepared for that moment. Don't love the execution, but we've been an excellent fourth down team. So going into it, we knew we'd have to take our shots.
I'm going to defend him here. Dan Quinn, 4th and 2, could have kicked a field goal, taken the lead against Philly. They lost this game 26-18. It's 2 yards. You've had one of the best offenses in football. Call better play, execute, pick up the first down. I'm not really that bothered by that decision.
Yeah, I would have kicked the field goal just because Philly couldn't make one in their own right, and they also couldn't make a PAT. But the issue there was the play call. That was a horrible play. They just ran it up the gut on 2nd and 3rd down, and then some sort of weird quarterback sweep.
Thing,
everything blew up, and the game was over at that point.
Who's stinking it up? Them not executing on 4th and 2. The Commies, brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Make your home services delightful at the pros tackle the projects you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Home Services. That's threemountainshomservices.com.
Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
On 1080 The Fan. It's crunch time. Let's go! Where Dirt and Sprague crunch the hot topics you want to hear.
What's the pressure? Don't sit here and act like there's no... We get nervous teeing off in front of a gallery on the 10th hole at Eastmoreland.
Crunch time, brought to you by Crunch Fitness, with memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com.
Crunch Time brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 a month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, online at crunch.com. Get to the NFL pressure cooker coming up top of the hour. Sprague in the line, of course, at 8:30. So keep your fake sponsors rolling in. 503-864-6326. One listener asking, are we going to run super late to break for this segment to hold Swag from vacation mode? Let's go till 8:04. It's linger.
If he's going to get really pissed about us breaking late, it's definitely this segment.
We won't do that. It is Ben Gobranson who is starting at quarterback for Oregon State.
I have been on my, I don't know.
You're not saying
Vortex. I clearly not.
You're in Long Beach state of mind.
If he wore a pilot's uniform, that name
you would
be
know
correct.
that name.
Yeah.
You would know that. Ben Gobranson will get the start again this weekend. Good and bad with him last week, right? I mean, the passing game was better than what you had seen earlier in the year, but threw a devastating pick six and another one in the red zone. Where's the care meter on the road at Air Force this weekend?
The care meter in
just
terms
in terms of a fan. Where's your investment?
They could
in the
lose
game?
this game, so it has to be some investment. You need to win this game to salvage something.
Does 5-7 salvage it?
No, 5 and 7
that's why I asked
is a
where the
massive
care meter is.
disappointment.
Yeah.
4 and 8 feels somehow worse, and it's only a
it
game
is.
difference.
In one game, it is a big difference.
Especially when you start 4 and 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that would mean you would end the season on a 7-game losing streak.
He comped that Bray did this week to Jonathan's rebuild. He said it feels a lot like the rebuild we had here. Guys are practicing hard. And I'd say, like, okay, I think there's a big difference between what they were doing with Jonathan in the rebuild versus like where you were, what you said you were the preseason, and what it's looked like so far. This is a massive one. This is a coaching game. This is not injuries and, Sprague, they're down 4 defensive guys. They've gotten guys back. You're settling on quarterback. You've made the change at quarterback. You're settling on a guy. Air Force won last week in comeback fashion.
They did.
Air Force is not a great team. This is a coaching game. And this isn't you fire him if he loses this and they finish 4 and 8. But it certainly is for me, and I can only speak for me, it certainly is an eye-opening, oh, God, I don't know what this is anymore, and I don't know where this is going to go. You cannot just sell me it's a year 1 rebuild, no big deal thing. This is a coaching game this weekend. You go beat Air Force. Go beat Air Force. This is a coaching game.
Hey, you're playing 2-7 Air Force. Now, to your point, they did get off the schneid last week against Fresno State. They outscored them, I want to say, 19-7 in the second half.
Yes, yeah.
Somewhere around there. So they got hot late. We all know about Air Force. They don't throw the football. It's just they're going to run the triple option at you. And so it's an interesting challenge for a defensive head coach to find a way to slow that down. Oregon State's, I would argue defensively, it wasn't really their problem last week. They held San Jose State to 17 points as an offense, and that, if I told you that going in, you'd probably say, okay, I mean, that's not terrible. San Jose State can sling it around a little bit. They got one of the better wide receivers in the country, a big body guy that can go out and make plays. That was Nick Nash, I think is his name.
He's he's one of the best receivers
in the country. He's having an awesome year.
And
he had, I believe, a touchdown overturned in that game as well, and he still had 161 yards and a touchdown. So
he had an easy drop late in that game, too, and I was shocked by it. I'm like, really, him?
He did. And so defensively, that wasn't really your issue. You hold him to 17 points, that's not a big problem. Your problem was on the other side of the ball, and you only scored 13, and you got inside the 20-yard line 4 times, I want to say, and came away with 3 points in those situations because you had a fumble on your first drive. You had obviously the field goal that you kicked, the go for it on 4th down attempt where you didn't get it, and then late in the game, Gobranson threw another interception inside the red zone. So you had your cracks at it. I'm with you. I know it doesn't seem like it's that big of a difference at the end of the day. Just any sort of positive news right now for that program is desperately needed. And I don't know
touchdowns in 2 games, Dirt.
Yeah, I don't
score a touchdown.
I don't know how positive beating Air Force is, but it's sure as hell better than the opposite of losing to Air Force.
You lose to Air Force 2-7.
They are 2-7 on the year.
Yeah,
2-7 on the year.
Boy, I think that attendance
You got a 4-game skid going. You got Washington State coming to town next weekend.
There might be a lot of crimson and gray in that crowd next week if they lose this game to Air Force. That's the fear.
Because if they win this weekend, they got a chance to obviously be a one-loss team this year. So they play tomorrow. Weather, by the way, will not be an impact on the game. For those wondering, they're going to Colorado. It's going to be like 54 and sunny. So no weather impact in any way, shape, or form there. Cougs looking to go to 9-1. They had a bit of a clunker last time they were on the road at San Diego State a couple of weeks ago. Another evening game. I feel like the Cougs have been predominantly the night team of this deal.
They have been.
Yeah, the Bees have gotten a lot of 12:30 games, and the Cougs have played a lot of late games. They're at 6:30 tomorrow at New Mexico. I don't know a ton about New Mexico other than the fact that this is a game that they should win. They played very similar games against San Diego State. New Mexico went in there and won 21-16. Washington State went in there and won 29-26. But they have lost 2 of their last 3, including tough, close losses to Colorado State and Wyoming. And look, the Cougs don't have a shot at going to the playoff because they don't have a conference affiliation this year. If they did, they'd maybe have a puncher's chance at it.
Yeah.
If they were in the Mountain West and maybe get a rematch against Boise State or whatever. But a chance to go 9-1, as we highlighted yesterday. Not a lot of one-loss seasons in the history of Washington State's program, and a nice opportunity tomorrow night.
The difference for me, I know they struggled a little bit with San Diego State. You can make an argument they could have lost that game. Sure, I'll give you that. I think the reason this is going to be different in my head is New Mexico is just dog crap in rush defense.
Yep.
They are second to last in their own conference. They're on average giving up 228 yards.
That's not good.
What's John Mateer like to do?
He loves to run the football.
So I know not everything is equal and the same. San Diego State's not a great rushing team either, and they were right there to win the game. I just think this is going to be different, and we'll see if I'm wrong. But I just think Washington State kind of has the right. They have the right eye on the prize.
Yeah.
And they're very close to having one of the more special seasons. If they can win this game and then beat Oregon State in Corvallis to cap off what would be a remarkable season for them, despite the schedule being easier for sure. And that's why I think they're going to end up pulling away in this one.
John Mateer, to that point, is their leading rusher as well. He's their obviously starting quarterback. He is their leading rusher at 630 yards on the season.
Well, and as we can tell with the story and reporting, Dirt, he's clearly playing for money.
Yeah, he could be. So, we'll see how that ends up going in the offseason. He's having an awesome year for them. They are on the road at New Mexico tomorrow night. Let's get to the NFL pressure cooker. That's where we'll start the final hour. We'll dive into a couple other notes from the weekend. We'll get to Sprague in the line coming up at 8:30, so get your fake sponsors in, 503-864-6326. It's a loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
It's Football Friday on The Fan.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland. An Odyssey sports station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on The Fan, number 1, Oregon looking to punch their ticket to the Big Ten championship game if they can beat the Badgers in Wisconsin. Saturday, 4:30 kick right here on The Fan. Ducks currently 14-point favorites. Our live pregame coverage begins on The Fan at noon. Beavers trying to end a 4-game losing streak in Colorado Springs, taking on the Air Force Academy 12:30 Saturday on the CBS Sports Network. Ben Gilbranson expected to get the start at quarterback. Beavs 3.5-point favorites. The Eagles overcoming missed field goal attempts and a missed extra point attempt from their kicker and pull away from the Commanders late. 26-18 the victory. Saquon Barkley goes over the 1,000-yard mark on the season, rushing for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. Jason Swigard from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand at the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new long-sleeve tee and hoodies in your favorite college colors. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
There's glory in the legends of this hard muscle life. And there's poetry in each season made of sweat and strife.
Dirt and Sprague on Football Friday.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
All I know is, you mess with me, you got problems.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, let's do this. Final hour, Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube as we are every single day. Good morning, everybody.
What's up, boys? This is what I gotta say today.
Hope your Friday mornings are off to a great start, getting you set for your weekend. And the producer line change is underway.
There it is.
There it happened.
There
right
he goes.
Right on cue.
What's up? There she goes.
There's Jeff Rust in the building. What's going on, Rust? How's your Friday going?
Early today.
Yeah, a little bit earlier than normal.
Yeah.
What time does Jeff Rust get up on a normal Friday?
6:30 is when the alarm goes off.
That's when it gets it. Yeah.
Kids, yeah.
Get the kids up, get everybody going in the morning.
She's got to get out to the bus stop by 7:40.
7:40 bus stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe we've gone this long and we haven't talked about how the Lightning beat the Jets last night.
I'm going to break down some hockey today in the final hour. Is it a slap shot Friday for you?
They beat them pretty soundly. The Jets were the best team in hockey.
That they
Classic
were.
Tampa-Winnipeg matchup.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid became the 4th youngest player ever to reach, what was it?
Fourth fastest.
4th fastest, my
1,000
apologies.
points.
1,000 points
Yeah.
last night. That was pretty badass.
That was pretty badass.
If you're into that kind of thing.
We had the David Putty Devils take care of business down in the Cup champ Florida Panthers.
Let's go Devils.
Devils!
Go sports team.
Yeah, sports team.
We'll spring the line coming up at the bottom of the hour. Good fake sponsors rolling in. 503-864-6326. Let's start the final hour as we usually do on Fridays with your NFL pressure cooker.
Ah, yes. Love a good pressure cooker.
So looking across the slate this weekend, there's a lot of different places you can kind of go because there were some interesting results last weekend. Number 1 pressure cooker item, team coach for you is who this week?
That's a great question. I actually think it is. I've been debating this all week. I think it's Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, Sunday Night Football.
A couple AFC teams in this category for me, and it's hard to separate them. I think I have to go Cincinnati. Isn't there season on the line in this game?
I would argue, yeah, if you fall to 4-7.
4-7, like there's still some. I know they just lost last week, and for some, they're not buying them. Their defense is shaky. Chargers are having a great year. I could argue the Chargers are playing with house money this weekend at home, and they don't feel that way, but it feels that way.
Yeah, the tough part is they haven't really beaten an elite team, and I don't know, even if they win this weekend, do they get credit for that? Right. If they lose, the Bengals are 4-7, and I wouldn't say that this is an elite team.
But if they win, they're kind of in the driver's seat to the playoffs at a minimum.
At 7-3 with the rest of their schedule, yeah, they'll be a playoff team.
So I'm looking at the Cincinnati Bengals because does Zach Taylor get fired if they don't make the playoffs? I don't know how to gauge Cincinnati. We have one of our P1s is a Bengals fan, so maybe he knows, but I don't know, man. I'm looking at Cincinnati. Burrow's having an MVP season. Jamar Chase is the receiving leader.
They cannot be stopped right now.
And Hendrickson is the sacks leader. So it's like you have all these positive things. Collectively, though, you haven't put it together or finished games. So I'm looking at Cincinnati.
Talk about a stat that I would be shocked if it continued. The Chargers have not allowed an opponent to score 20 points this year.
No.
There's no way the Bengals can't get to 20, right? With the way their offense is humming right now.
Did you watch the Giant game a couple weeks ago? They had like 10 points.
Did you watch the game last Thursday night? They went into Baltimore and scored 35 on them, or 34 or whatever it was.
I think you can only react with what you've seen, right? And Baltimore's got some dudes we all know. You certainly point at the Chargers' opponents, but the Chargers' defense looks stronger than Baltimore's does right now.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Stats might be misleading.
The way Burrow and Chase are playing, I just have a hard time seeing them not get to 21 points in this game, or just 20.
It's fair.
You get 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. I have a really hard time seeing that not happening. My number one team in the pressure cooker this weekend is going to be a team that will have everybody looking at them, everybody hoping for them, everybody praying for them. And I just think for the morale of the rest of the league, it's necessary, and for the morale of the team, it's necessary. My number one team is the Buffalo Bills at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost to them in the playoffs last year in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, but they beat them last year in the regular season and caused the bitching and moaning of Mahomes and company in the postgame. Remember that?
They did. I do remember that. I just think the morale of beating them and having that, if you lose to them again in the regular season, which I know they didn't last year, but they have in years past, lost to them in the playoffs multiple times the last couple of years. Regular season wins don't change that, nor does it make it a guarantee that if you beat them now, you can beat them in the playoffs. But if you lose this weekend, any hope you have of facing them at home in the playoffs is gone. You'd be a 3-loss team. They'd still be undefeated. You're not getting home field advantage. You win this weekend, there's an outside chance they trip up again later. The Kansas City Chiefs have definitely played a lot of close games, so they have a chance to maybe drop another one. You're a 2-loss team. You would have the head-to-head, a chance to get the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. Gives you a better chance to beat them, because I'm sure as hell not picking the Bills to go in an Arrowhead and win in the playoffs. I just think the NFL needs it. I think the Bills need it. I think we all need it. We all need to see them lose, and my number one team this weekend is the Buffalo Bills.
I know that these guys are professionals. If I'm a Denver Bronco, I'm still not done. I'm still not past it. It's still pissing me off. I'm still thinking about that.
How did that get blocked?
I hear you. I don't blame you for picking that one. I think the pressure cooker angles are interesting for how people perceive teams. I also watched them beat them last year in KC, and then I gave them a shot to win the playoff game, and I don't think you're going to change your stance when the playoffs come here if they win this
I'm not
game.
picking anybody to beat Kansas City.
So, I don't think if they lose to KC, and they might be without Keon Coleman and Kincaid and an offensive lineman, and if they're coming off a not great performance against the Colts, if they lose this, win or lose, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think it changes anything for you for how you feel about this matchup if they play in the playoffs.
Totally
right?
fair. I feel the same way about the Bengals, win or lose. I'm not buying them either, whether they win or lose this weekend. I don't think they're doing anything.
I'm going to circle a team in Green Bay. Going to Chicago, who is just, you could not be rolling and limping out of your bed more as a home team than Chicago Bears, who are making a change at OC this week.
Yes.
They fired Waldron. We know Eberflus is going to get canned. Green Bay's been weird too. They're 6-3, but go handle your business.
Last time we saw them play, they were body bagged at home by Detroit.
The Bears have never beaten Matt LaFleur.
Nope.
So,
and they get the Niners. The Packers do. They got the Niners on the horizon as well. So that is your very next week.
Jordan Love. We know he's good, but he's got a little more Favre than Rodgers in him.
Mm-hmm.
And is that going to cost them in the playoffs? Is he going to cost them games like this, where you look at the matchup and you say, yeah, that team should win, and then the spread's only kind of 5, and so you're kind of asking yourself what's going on here. Again, it's not that LaFleur's in trouble or Love's going to get benched. It's more just the pressure of, are you legit in the playoff conversation? You might be a Packer fan and some other NFL fans, but if you lose this game...
Yeah, the division's already probably over, and it's definitely over if you lose this weekend.
Yeah,
you already have a head-to-head loss to Detroit to begin with.
Yeah, you lost to the Vikings. You damn near lost to the Rams. Remember that game? Love it. One of the worst interceptions I've seen. You thoroughly beat the Cardinals at home a couple weeks back. You beat the Texans, so that was an interesting game, too. You had fights before the game when that started.
Yep.
And then the Lions kind of kicked your teeth in at home in bad conditions. So what should be a benefit for you did not matter whatsoever. It actually hurt you more than it hurt the visiting team.
Yeah, I would say that the only other team that I would throw into this, because every other game's a little interesting this week, but I don't know how much pressure resides on it. Like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, could go either way. I don't know if I'm going to have some grand conclusion takeaway. The only other team that I'm looking at this weekend of like, dude, you cannot lose this game, and the spread's not that big, but if you're a playoff contender after what happened to you last week, the Atlanta Falcons are in Denver this weekend.
Fascinating. It's an underrated game.
Dude, they lost.
Really underrated.
New Orleans is coming off a loss to Carolina the week before.
You mean Atlanta is?
No, New Orleans lost to Carolina. They were coming into that game.
Yes.
They were 2-7 off of a loss to what some people would argue is the worst team in the NFL, with Bryce Young back as a starting quarterback.
Red hot, though, now.
Now red hot Carolina Panthers. They have won
two
straight.
Streak.
Well, Rizzy clogged a toilet, and they figured it out.
That was it. I mean? You clog a toilet, that's all it takes.
Stop the flow of water.
I don't know what to make of Atlanta. They have had moments.
The metaphor for that game of big turd.
Yeah, it was.
They've had moments where they've looked really good this year, and they've had moments where the Seahawks have gone there and just drubbed them. I don't know.
I think you know what to think of Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust them that much as a playoff contender in the NFC.
Have they? I ask this sincerely. They've had Quinn. Right, they got a Super Bowl Quinn.
Yeah.
Then they went to Arthur Smith, and now they're with Raheem Morris.
Yes.
Can anybody find a difference between the last season of Quinn Falcons, the entire Arthur Smith run, and so far year one? They feel like the exact same thing. You can, hey, this guy's better than the last guy at this position. You can certainly point that out. They play to every opponent that they seemingly have.
Never a blowout. It's always a close game, no
play
matter
down,
who the
play
opponent
up.
is.
They kind of do this. They got a weird win at the Eagles that I don't think that they should have had, but they did.
The last second win.
I kind of think Denver's better. That Denver defense.
They're at home. The defense is not.
Pass rush
the defense is legit, man. Bo's having a really good rookie year.
And he has gotten better like each week. He's far better now than he was at the beginning of the season. It's nice to see. Yes, it's nice to see a progression throughout. Just even the rookie
season. Seahawks and Jet
games
were like 7 weeks apart, and those were very similar. But yes, largely your point. He is growing.
Yeah, the Jets. I don't know. The Jets game was pretty.
Game was so ugly.
Yeah, they were 3, but that was week 4. So Seahawks game was week 1. Jets game was week 4. Yeah. The weather was also a big part of that too. Like that was a horrendous downpour. I'm with Russell. I think he's looked better in every week since then, and he wasn't terrible at all. I went into Kansas City. That's one of the better defenses in the league. I thought he played really well. I just should
have won that game. I mean,
I look at Denver more of this year as like you have a rookie quarterback. I don't have like playoff expectations for you. I don't have the. If you end up getting there and you end up going on hey, more power to you, man. Rookie quarterbacks don't do it very often.
You don't have that anymore, given what we've seen with some of the teams contending with them for that final spot. They're 7th right now, right? So the Colts are 8th, the Bengals are 8th, and the Dolphins are 10th at 3-6. But I don't know if we buy the Dolphins.
I think they have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs. I'm saying I don't look at them as a team that I would say if you don't win a playoff game, it's a disappointing year. Like they have a rookie quarterback. If you get there, you're playing with house money.
That's a good year if you make the playoffs.
Atlanta went all in and signed Kirk Cousins and then drafted Michael Penix on top of it in the top 10, and they're paying a lot of money for that roster. And they brought him in to win. They brought him in to be a contender in the NFC. And so that's why I look at him this week. If you're going on the road to Denver off of a really bad loss to New Orleans last weekend, Denver can easily win this game, and that's why there's a lot of pressure on them this weekend. Because if you lose this weekend, if you're Atlanta, by the way. I mean, don't look now. I know they have 2 head-to-head wins, I believe, over Tampa. I think they beat them both times they played them. If you lose this weekend, the division's alive. You're 6-5. Tampa's off a bye, and I think their coming schedule for the Bucs, they're going to get healthier at wide receiver, you would imagine. Their next 3 games after the bye, the Bucs, they get the Giants, the Panthers, and the Raiders. And
should be 3-0.
Should be 3-0. It's the Bucs, so you never know. But if you lose this weekend, if you're Atlanta, all of a sudden that division race is wide open. You're 6-5. They're only a game out of first place in the NFC
You're
South.
You're 6-5. They're a game out. So you lose to Denver. Your next 2 after that are at home against the Chargers, and then you're at Minnesota.
Yeah. Very challenging game.
How about that?
You get Kirkers going back to Minnesota. Huh?
What is a Kirk Cousins return game at a Minnesota like?
He'll get booed. I bet he gets booed.
Why?
Really?
I think he gets booed. I think a lot of Vikings fans didn't like Kirk Cousins. They thought he was the thing that kept them from getting over the hump.
That's like booing vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree
it's
with you.
It's not the greatest thing in the world, but
what's
it's like
the return
it's not that
athlete
bad.
equivalent of Kirk Cousins going back to Minnesota? Is that like, I'm trying to think of a good comp here, right? Because how do you frame the Minnesota Viking Kirk Cousins era? Just kind of like
is
a
it
guy
like
who
Mike
was
Tirico
good, but
going
not...
back to ESPN?
Who?
Tirico.
Mike Tirico.
I was going for an athlete, but sure, that one's actually not bad. Like, oh yeah, okay.
Who was good but not like?
This is a weird comp. What's the player equivalent to Kirk Cousins returning to Minnesota in another sport? Is it Soto going back as a national?
Can I use? Well, he won a championship
title,
though.
so
Can I use the same town and maybe this is different? Carl Anthony Towns going back to the T-Wolves? Like he was good but not great, but
so you found another good Minnesota one.
Like is he,
I don't know.
He would get. I would imagine he wouldn't get booed.
Otani going back to the Angels
for the 7 people in attendance.
They would bring him. They would love that. They'd welcome him back with open arms.
Thank you. It actually have fans in the stands.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like he came back this year as a Dodger.
But yeah, he's not going to get booed.
Yeah,
no, because they're all Dodgers at that game.
Yeah, that's a hard comp to find. I don't know. I don't know.
NBA. Vince Carter is a net.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Hey, you were here for 8 years. We didn't do much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Steve Blake coming back to the Blazers.
Yeah, somebody said they're nice in Minnesota. They won't boo him, dude.
I think you disagree. I disagree with you.
Ask our finance bro Chuck. Ask him how he felt about Kirk Cousins, and if he was in the stands, he would boo his ass off the entire game.
Chuck is kind of a radical sports fan.
He's definitely a radical sports fan.
Have you been to Minneapolis? They are very, very nice people.
See, I think there's a difference between being nice as a city and a sports fan base. Like I think that's a very aggressive fan base.
My wife grew up a bunch as a kid in Minnesota, and she still has family in Minnesota. Not in Minneapolis.
They take their sports
more
seriously.
Towards the north side on the basically the North Dakota border.
Yeah.
No, they do. But what are you booing him for?
Not winning the big one.
Nobody
as the
has
Vikings?
for them.
I know. I'm not disagreeing.
But they boo Dante Culpepper when he came back as a Dolphin.
I don't know.
Are they going to boo Randall Cunningham?
Dante Culpepper got to an NFC title game at least.
I mean, they won a game in the playoffs.
It's
his only playoff win, actually.
It is. He's only got one. He won in New Orleans.
Just because that darn.
And then they lost to the Niners, and the Niners threw 8 passes in that game.
I'm kind of with Russ here. I kind of think this is like booing Vanilla Ice Cream.
I definitely would not boo him.
Would you cheer him?
I'd give him an applause.
Skull.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go full skull chant. I'd give him an applause.
It's one of those. It's like, hey, you know what? Nice to have you back, buddy.
I think I give him
outside of that,
thanks, man. You were a nice guy. You're good in the community.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't see that they had a return game for him, and I hadn't thought about talking about that on a Football Friday, but now I can't stop thinking about how you react to Kirk Cousins returning.
Let's get to the rest of the slate in college football this weekend. Georgia, Tennessee's going down. What do we expect from that? Any other big showdowns? We'll spring the line coming up at the bottom of the hour. Back after this on the Fan.
It's time for a sports injury report. The injuries and rehab that impact the success of sports teams. Brought to you by Rock Orthopedic.
It's been through quite a bit the last couple of years, injury-wise, and never has he put his head down or said, "For me." He's continued to work extremely hard. I'm very excited for his return.
That is Josh Allen talking about the return to practice of Matt Milano. Remember, we talked about that at the start of the year. How will the Bills survive? Well, they're 8-2, playing good, and they got a big one this weekend against Kansas City.
Huge to have Milano back for Sunday. The practice report was encouraging. Not having Kincaid and Keon Coleman would be problematic.
Yes, it would.
Could be a little bit of a slugfest dogfight on defense on Sunday.
Sports Injury Report presented by Rock Orthopedic, board-certified specialists who diagnose and treat the widest range of orthopedic cases with care and expertise. To schedule an appointment with Dr. Bradford Black, visit rocpdx.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube, Twitch, and now Window Nation brings you the window into the Fan. On-demand YouTube video shorts with your favorite fan shows and hosts. The window into the Fan is brought to you by Window Nation. Buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing with no interest for 2 years. Online at windownation.com. Watch Window Nation's Window into the Fan every day on YouTube with 1080. Peekaboo. The Fan.
Now, here's a quick look at Portland traffic.
Definitely seeing some slowdowns if you're taking I-5 or I-405 through Old Town. And you're right on I-5 southbound from the Interstate Bridge
A lot more comps coming in. DeMar DeRozan got chimed in.
Oh, the
return of
Raptors.
DeMar DeRozan to Toronto.
Now, that one's a little more
I feel like he was there
emotional.
longer.
He got drafted by him,
He was there almost 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? That was
different.
a long run.
But also, I think the reason that comp's good is also...
Couldn't win.
Yeah, could never beat LeBron with him, and then they won the title as soon as they traded him.
How long was Kirk? Was he 5 years in Minnesota?
No, I think it was a little longer than
Was
that.
it longer than that? Let's see. I know he had the original 3-year deal.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6 years in
Okay,
Minnesota.
so one more year than
Two
you said.
3-year deals. It looked like he signed. So,
I think the best one was Andrew tweeting us Gordon Hayward coming back to Utah.
that's a pretty good one.
That's pretty solid.
I did
and
think that's
DeRozan, by the way,
pretty
9 years in Toronto.
9 years in Toronto. Yeah, I thought
Drafted
that was
by him,
almost
right?
a decade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
And I know Hayward was drafted by Utah, but point being, that's, I think, how Utah fan feels like,
yeah. Thank you.
Didn't
Thanks.
choose us, but
Thanks.
all right.
Love you.
It's weird. This is his 16th season in the NBA.
DeMar DeRozan, he's been around a long time, man.
Yeah.
He was in Chicago for a minute. He was in San Antonio
Antonio
for a minute after the trade. Like he's been around a long
Yeah,
time.
he was
apiece in those
playing
two.
at USC when I was in college.
I was like, oh my
That's
God,
crazy.
16
I don't think we
years.
realize how old DeMar DeRozan is and how good he's been he's been a good player for a really long time.
I would have guessed
hasn't
11 or
aged.
12 maybe, but 16.
Yeah, since we're on random sports factoids before I get to the weekend slate,
Sure.
Dave Sims leaving the Mariners. That was announced yesterday.
Yeah, that's, I was
Speaking of
surprised.
Vanilla?
Whoa.
Oh, you anti-Dave Sims?
He's all right.
Oh,
really?
Dave's all
Interesting.
He's got
I'm not
good
the biggest
voice.
I'm not the biggest Dave Sims guy either. But I also hate the Mariners, so
You hate the Mariners?
I do. I don't like that. I
the
hate
Mariners
everything
are the
Seattle.
Kirk Cousins coming back to Minnesota sports team.
Why you
They
gotta
are definitely that sports team.
Why you
for
got to
sure.
punch down, dude?
I hate everything about the city of Seattle, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
I take that rivalry seriously with the city, even though we have people who don't. I hate all their teams.
So you'll never be hosting a show up north. We know that.
Unless I come in and I'm the villain. I'll
I'll
their
never go
foil.
live there. I
I'll be the
hate driving
anti-softy. All your teams suck.
I hate driving around there. Driving in Seattle is awful.
I do too.
I'm sure that's what they want to hear every day
Cool
on the
gum
radio.
wall. Yeah, put your gum on a wall. That's really cool.
That's
The
disgusting.
gum wall's actually really gross.
It's disgusting.
It is. It's really
People
gross.
are still thumbing
Yes.
their gum on it. I'm like, you're just thumbing other people's gum.
Yes, it's gross.
The thing about Dave Sims, I like Dave Sims. I think he's got good pipes.
He's got great pipes. I'll give you that.
Also, when something good happens, I think he's got a good call for it. His reaction to it is good.
One thing I've never understood about the Mariners broadcasts is the way that they interweave them both throughout the television and radio side throughout
I've never
the
understood
game.
that either. The Riz and Sims
They rotate them all too much
change
for
up.
me.
Like sixth inning, we got a new. Now it's Aaron Goldsmith in the sixth.
Yeah.
What?
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Can we not have radio people and TV
That's
people?
a new thing that a lot of baseball teams do. The Giants do that, where it's
I
like
like it.
first 3 innings, it's the TV guy, and then innings 4 through 6, the radio guy comes. Like John Miller will do TV for 3 innings.
Well,
and
John
then they're
Miller's a different
play-by-play.
story. That's a legend.
Well, sure, but they do it with Dave Fleming as well. So
Yeah.
they'll come over and do 3 innings, and then the TV guys are back for innings 7, 8, and 9.
Dave Sims' emotional moment for Mariner fan losing him?
He's been there a long time.
18 seasons.
18 years, voice of the Mariners.
But he's always lived in New York, which has been an odd thing.
And his family, he's got kids and grandkids in New York as well. So he's a New York guy.
Yeah.
And you still have Rick Riz, who I would say probably more beloved than Dave Sims. Am I wrong on that?
Oh, no, I think you're not wrong at all.
Like Rick Riz.
I feel like Rick Riz is probably
He's second to Niehaus, right?
Probably,
I would think so.
Yeah.
And he's still there.
Yeah.
Goldsmith's been around a while now, too. Like
But Goldsmith passed Sims for Mariner fan?
I don't know if he passed him. I feel like he's also flirted with other jobs a lot, too, where he's kind of looked around like, am I like
Well, I think, let's face it,
he calls other sports in games.
You got Niehaus at 1 and Riz at 2, and then it's a big gap until the next.
A big gap? 18 years,
I'm
dude?
I'm talking in terms of being like the level of belovedness by the city.
18 years calling a team's game?
I think you're wrong on that one, Russ.
I think
he's more beloved by the fan base. I can feel my way on the outside looking in. I think he's beloved in that city.
Okay.
That's 18 years is a long run.
I'll be curious to see if you're right on that from Mariner fan.
I'm open to being wrong.
What year was Wheels last year as Blazers radio guy? 2019?
Wasn't it the Dame walk-off?
So what year was that? 18?
No, 19. I think it was 19.
Was that 19?
And he took over in 1998.
Well, I guess which one, the Houston one or the OKC one?
Oh, no, I'm thinking of OKC.
Okay.
That was 19, I think.
Let me double check.
I think it was
We should
19.
know this top of
But
our
to the
heads.
point, he took over in 1998. That was a 20-year run for Wheels.
Yeah.
So it's been the same chunk of run for Dave Sims as the
Right.
play-by-play guy on TV at least.
Yeah, how would you categorize the Blazer commentator ranking then? If you're saying it's Niehaus and Riz and then a big gap, quote, unquote, to Sims, what's the power ranking of Blazer broadcasters for you?
Sean's has to be number one.
It has to be.
But then is it Wheels or Barrett?
Yeah.
See, that's like a 2 and 2A.
No,
you got to pick
but what's
one.
the 2?
Well,
and
no,
what's
the 2 and your 3?
I just made my decision. That's like a 2 and 2A.
What about the wild one? Where's Mike Rice fit into that equation? Him getting tossed out of games,
to be
enjoying a
Well,
cocktail.
don't you do color commentator different than main broadcaster?
I guess that's true.
And then where's Steve Snapper versus Wild One?
Yeah, that's true. I'd take Snapper.
And the color commentator, Steve Snapper Jones is number one.
By the way, what about Harvey?
I did always feel betrayed by Steve Snapper Jones, though, when I would turn on like the NBC game of the week on Saturdays.
You felt betrayed?
Yeah.
He's calling national games. It
I was
like
a
he
young
went to the
kid. I was like 12. What do you want from me?
How dare you, Steve?
Michael
You're our
Holton
guy,
making your
man.
top 2 color commentators?
Pardon, who?
Michael Holton.
Yeah.
Holton's good. Holton's good. I think Holton is better as like a studio analyst, the pregame, halftime, postgame.
Blazers 18-19 the year they went to the Western Conference
18-19.
Finals.
So he had a 20-year run as the radio voice of the Blazers.
Well, he might have left the next year. I'm guessing.
I can't remember what year
I think it
was.
was 20 plus.
It was 21.
Maybe
21 years total.
21 years.
Yeah, there we go.
Georgia, Tennessee tonight. Or not tonight, this weekend.
He didn't give me a ranking there, though.
Okay, so what are we talking? The play-by-play or the color analyst?
Yeah, the play-by-play.
The play-by-play. Okay, well, you have Sean's easily at number 1. And then, and I did. I said 2 and 2A. You got Barrett and Wheels.
You separate them. You got to rank them.
I think I would go Sean's 1, Wheels 2, Barrett 3.
See,
I think that's what I would do. I'd
might
listen to
flip-flop
far
those.
more Barrett call. Like I watch far more games on TV than I
listened
did.
to more Wheels.
Did you?
Because I was always in the car, and so I had buddies' dads would turn him on.
Boom Shakalaka was a thing. Like I
Yeah.
just, he had a moment. He was,
I always loved to at the leading into a break at a timeout, and Phil Jackson is flustered and flabbergasted and all effed up. But yeah,
Is it wrong to do a poll
his 3
question
different.
on this?
No, I don't think so.
Barrett or Wheels?
Who's your number 2 Blazer play-by-play guy?
See, and the only reason why I would probably flip-flop those is because it might be recency bias, just in terms of I always also hear Mike Barrett on the radio for Bi-Mart and Bellagio's.
Yeah, he still does spots.
Yeah.
He's still a good friend of the station.
Right.
We still love Mike Barrett. He
claimed-
might bring us baseball. Man. Hey, if he brings us baseball, number 1 on the list. Sorry, Sean's. You're no longer the mayor of Rip City.
You're bumping Sean's.
I'm
if he
bumping
brings
Sean's.
baseball.
If Barrett gets the job done and brings Major League Baseball to Portland, he's number 1.
See, I remember being a kid and whenever we go over to my grandparents' house for something, a birthday or what have you, Easter, and if there was a game on, my grandfather would be sitting in his chair with his little AM transistor radio up to his ear, listening to the Blazers and Bill Schonely.
That's the day, man. Sitting on your front stoop with a little AM transistor radio to listen to Howard Stern or sports. Yeah, those are the days, man.
Oh, good times.
And he
All
didn't
right.
care that we were all sitting in the room there with him. He's just like, I'm listening to my game.
I'll let you,
You guys carry on.
I'll let you have this one because maybe I'm wrong here. I just think your Riz Sims thing is wild.
Okay, I'll own it if I'm wrong.
Wild.
Hey, that's why we do this thing, right? We opine.
Yeah, but you refused to give us a ranking in Portland, but you just gladly
just
gave
gave
us
you
the
one.
Marin. I know. I had to press you.
Yeah.
I had to Trent Bray you. Give me a number. Millions. All right? Millions. It's in the millions.
Millions.
What does
Millions.
the millions mean? Is
Millions.
that what you need now? Is that what it takes?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. Let's get to Sprague in the line. We'll read your fake sponsors. We'll do some gambling. Let you know how we did last weekend. Russ is going to read off Swag's picks. Sprague in the line is next. First, here he is with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Good or bad weather, the golf course is always the driest around. Download the Langdon Farms app today to get all the latest news and specials. First on The Fan, top-ranked Oregon Ducks can clinch a spot in the Big Ten championship game with a win in Madison. Are we good? Sorry, you had your mic on. With a win in Madison on Saturday as they take on the Wisconsin Badgers here at the Fan on 4:30. Ducks currently 14-point favorites. Live pregame coverage here on the Fan begins at noon.
That's my bad, Rusty Poo.
The Beavers are desperate to end a 4-game losing streak in Colorado Springs, facing Air Force at 12:30. That's on the CBS Sports Network. Ben Gilbranson expected to get the start at quarterback. The Beavs are a 3.5-point favorite. Georgia Bulldogs have ruled Number 1 running back Trevor Etienne out for Saturday's must-win showdown against Tennessee with an upper body injury. The Winterhawks coming back home, hosting Red Deer tonight at Memorial Coliseum. Puck drops at 7 o'clock. Tickets available at winterhawks.com. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rush from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's the Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Auto accident? Worried about your deductible? Don't. Before you file a claim, call Leif's Auto Collision Centers. Leif's unique program can help. Unlike the other body shops, we don't work for insurance companies. We work for you. Remember, you have the right to choose who repairs your vehicle. That's the law. Call me at Leif's before you file a claim. And of course, pickup and delivery throughout the Northwest, factory parts, pre-loss repairs. Leif's Auto Collision Centers, family owned for 34 years. The finest in collision repair.
Get ready. It's time for early holiday shopping at Fred Meyer. Save on great gifts for everyone, like pajamas for the whole family, including your pets. You'll find special deals throughout the store, including toys, home electronics, and appliances too. And get ready for the Fred Meyer Black Friday sale, including half-price socks and underwear. So get started on your holiday shopping now and enjoy great deals all month long at Fred Meyer. Fresh for everyone.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-5795. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Isaac and Suk here with Ken and Donnie, the advocates. We hate insurance companies.
Loathe.
How do you protect people from the insurance companies?
So if you've been hurt, they're going to offer you some $1,500 and we'll pay your medical bills. And it says, oh, that's a pretty good deal.
Except for your medical bills haven't even processed yet.
They know what will get them the most money in their bottom line. They owe their souls to the shareholders, and their job is to pay as little as possible.
Which is why you need an advocate. You need more than a lawyer. You deserve an advocate. Advocateslaw.com.
Check, check, and check. That's the sound of me getting a jump start on my holiday list. But I can't take all the credit. Kohl's makes it too easy. I got my daughter a mini instant camera, my husband his favorite cologne, my sister Kookaburra by UGG slippers, and that's just the beginning. Then I got 20% off some of my other gifts. Yep, it doesn't get better than Kohl's. Select styles. Offer valid to November 23rd. Coupons do not apply to tech, Sephora at Kohl's, and Kookaburra by UGG. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
When you're hiring, ZipRecruiter's technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. What if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Did you know each year auto insurers routinely underpay accident claims? Estimates run from $5 to $10 billion every year. I'm Leif with Leif's Auto Collision Centers. How do they do it? Insurers count on you not knowing the law. If you are in an accident, contact Leif's before you file a claim. We'll send you a guide that lays out everything you are owed. No obligation. You pay dearly for insurance. You deserve all that's promised. Leif's, complimentary pickup and delivery, factory parts, pre-loss repairs. Leif's, I'm on your side.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
On 1080 The Fan.
Oh, damn it, I missed it.
Well, Russ kind of missed it.
Hold on.
That's on me.
Hold on. Just everybody, just shut up.
We know it's on
just
you.
Shut up.
You're getting fired for that.
Shut your mouths. Okay, ready?
What are we going to do?
Everybody ready?
What are we about to do?
We're going to do it. Sprague in the line.
Sprague in the line.
Sprague in the line.
Sprague in the line.
All right, we got to go quick because we got a lot of sponsors here. Sprague in the line brought to you by Mike Tyson. Not sure if it's good or bad news for Sprague, but his legacy of making awful picks isn't actually a legacy because we're all just going to die. Might as well tail those Sprague picks.
That's how I live every life with all my bets. None of this matters. Floating rocks.
Sprague in the line brought to you by Michael McDonald. Even if he's erect on stage, serenading with one eye, bulging lyrics in and out, that's still way less scary than a Sprague pick. What was that?
What was that?
Swag told me to do a ding after the Sprague in the line
that's
thing.
not the ding.
No, that ding.
Well, that's my ding. I couldn't find the page
Now
that he
I
had
feel
it on
like we're
before.
standing on a
Dusty
counter
ding.
looking for attention. Where's our ding? Here we go. I'll ding you, okay? I got the
Dusty
ding.
ding. What are we doing?
I'll do
Get
the
on
ding.
show.
I'm trying here.
Sprague in the line brought to you by Swag's Michael McDonald. Just like looking at a bet sheet with Sprague's picks on it, neither makes any sense, but when you see one, you know you're about to get screwed somehow. Sprague in the line. Where did this one go? Sprague in the line brought to you by my birthday. Getting a year older is still preferable to any Sprague pick. Happy birthday. Sprague in the line brought to you by the city of Lake Oswego. Now you can go enjoy a float with your dinghy out. You're damn right you can.
I think it's really sexy.
Sprague in the line brought to you by Mike Tyson slap. It would still hurt less than taking advice from Bummer Brandon on sports betting.
Deep down, I'm fat.
Sprague in the line brought to you by Swag after 30 seconds of love making with the wife. Hold on. I got to find this. It goes.
It's over. We think. Here's the situation.
All right. Sprague in the line brought to you by Sprague losing hope on OSU winning this weekend, which means Oregon State will win by 20-plus points.
Peekaboo.
Sprague in the line brought to you by this show's NIL budget. They ink dirt with the promise of a misprinted T-shirt and a month's supply of beard wax. Yeah, I need to shave. My beard's getting long. I got pubes on. I got pubes on my face. Sprague in the line brought to you by Swag's Moose Knuckles. Still a more visually appealing thing than my DraftKings account after following Sprague's picks. We got a couple more there. We'll get to them at the end of the segment. Here is how we did last weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Your winner of the weekend was one Brandon Sprague. Congratulations, Brandon Sprague, on a 3-0 weekend. 3-0 weekend puts you above 500 on the year at 17-16. Yeah. Swag went 2-1. You, by the way, hit on the Bengals on Thursday night against the Ravens. The Steelers +3 in Washington. And the Chargers in the Big Wood at home against the Titans. Swag also hit on the Chargers. He missed on the Lions Sunday night game, and then he hit on the Cowboys, the Eagles, -7.5 against the Cowboys. I missed on the Lions on Sunday Night Football. Jake Moody couldn't make a kick, so the 49ers didn't cover the 6.5, but I did hit on the Cardinals +2 against the Jets. So, season standings, Swag 2-1 is still in first place at 18-15. You are now a game behind him at 17-16, and I am still bringing up the rear at 14-19 after a 1-2 weekend. 3-0 weekend. The floor is yours. Where's our first pick this week?
I'm going to take a team that I refuse to ever bet on them again, and I'm going to fade them because I find it comical that the minute they even look like a glimmer of decent, we jump on as if they're a legit contender. This team I'm gambling on made a quarterback change this week after saying they were going to start a guy. 2 days later, they started a different guy. I'm getting more than a field goal at New York. The Jets are not a good team. I know the Colts aren't amazing. I think the Colts can outright win this game. I will take 4 points if you're going to give me 4 points in almost any matchup with the Jets. Colts plus the 4.
We're going to let Jeff Russ read Swag's pick. So what is Swag's first pick of the day?
Swag's first pick of the day, he is laying the big wood. Lions -14 versus Jacksonville.
Lions -14. Okay. He loves laying that big wood.
I play the sounder, but I don't know where the big wood is.
I got you. Hold on. Wait, nope, that's the wrong way.
Okay, yeah. This is great. None of us know where.
Today I'm laying the big wood.
And his.
The big wood's still in here?
Yes, it is. All right, -14. All right, first.
No, it's 13.5 right now.
On DraftKings or on what are we looking at
DraftKings.
here? On DraftKings.
So
okay.
what do you want to do?
We'll give him 13.5 then. If that's what it's on DraftKings, we'll give him 13.5. My first pick of the week. I feel dirty doing it, but let's be dirty together. I don't like this team. I'm rooting against them. I hate everything about them. I want them to go away. I can't stand any storylines around them. Give me the Chiefs +2 at Buffalo. I get it twice a year. I get to gamble Patrick Mahomes with plus money. My heart tells me to gamble on the Bills here. That's something old dirt would do. Like, yeah, give me Buffalo, which means Buffalo will probably now win outright. You don't get many opportunities to do this. I'm not going to miss this opportunity. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, and I will take them with plus money. Any chance I get, Chiefs +2 in Buffalo.
I wanted to verify if right now it's still at 2.
Oh, yeah, I haven't looked on DraftKings. I just looked on ESPN.
Yeah, it's still 2.
Still 2? Okay.
I love the Chiefs +2 as well. I'm going to go with another home team here. Oh, I'm going to go with a home team. The last team was a road team. I'm going to go with a home team that's getting some disrespect. This dude's awesome at home against the number as a home dog. Just outright. No matter how you think it's not going to happen, he makes it happen. Lamar Jackson is 1-3 career-wise against the Steelers. He doesn't play a whole lot against them. He tends to not be healthy when they play. This is the first divisional game for the Steelers, remarkably, at this point of the season.
Wild.
They're getting a hook at home.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's week 10, their first divisional game. This is 3.5. Tomlin's 18-5 against the spread as a home dog. I'm going to take Steelers +3.5. I don't know how it happens,
okay,
but I'm going to take it.
All right. Pick number 2 for Swag, courtesy of Jeff Rust, is.
I'm just noticing now, Swag taking all home favorites this week.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah, right?
It's working for him. He's got the best record.
There we go. He's got the 49ers, -6.5, hosting the Seahawks.
I mean, he's winning. At least you're jumping on a winner's pick.
That is true. That is true. I hate when we have crossover picks. Yeah, that is my second pick.
How original.
I mean, I have said for months I will gamble the 49ers anytime. I gambled on them on Thursday night when they were there earlier this year. Yeah. So I will bet the 49ers anytime they play the Seahawks.
We do our picks blind against each other, too. So a lot of time we get some crossover. Sometimes we're straight up against each other, too.
All right, Sprague, last pick.
Yeah, I got double-teamed 2 weeks ago by Swag and Dirt.
I didn't take the Chargers because you both took the Chargers, and I didn't want to do a thing where we all had the same pick again. I just,
Did you get Eiffel Towered?
You did?
Well, I didn't say that.
It happened.
No, not quite that.
That's what he said. I think that's what he said.
Look, I love the Chiefs +2. I will keep going. I'm not going to pick them for spreading the line, but I'm going to gamble on the Chiefs. I'm going to get Mahomes plus money all day. Yeah, why would you not? I'll go with a different dog. I got all dogs this weekend. I'm kind of gambling on desperation here. I gambled on them last week. I don't like to double down on teams multiple weeks in a row, but I kind of like this line for them. Sunday Night Football. I like the Chargers. I've given them a lot of love. Herbert's playing good. Harbaugh's been a difference maker. They've beaten nothing but bad teams. Cincinnati is not an amazing team. Their defense is certainly suspect at best. I think this is a different level of offensive explosion they're going to face in L.A. Bengals fans will show up for this one. I think Joe Burrow has a little bit of FU to Justin Herbert in his mind when he goes in on this one. It's only 1.5, but I'm going to take a dog. I think the Bengals are going to win this game outright.
All right. What's Swag's last pick, Rust?
Swag's last pick. He's got the Chargers -1.5 hosting the Bengals.
There it is.
We got a head-to-head pick there.
Head-to-head. He beat me last head-to-head.
Always love a good head-to-head. All right, Chargers -1.5. Let me write that down. Good look for head-to-head. Last one for me this weekend. I'm gonna try and follow a trend here, and I don't think this team is good. I think they've quit on their head coach. I don't know what to make of their opponent, but if you can't beat the New England Patriots at home, I don't think that you can beat the Green Bay Packers at home. Wow. Packers are coming off a bye, so they've had a week to sit around and rest up. The Bears just fired their offensive coordinator, and Caleb Williams this week said, I hadn't really had any communication with the new offensive coordinator, who was a passing game coordinator. So
it's encouraging to hear.
That's a great sign. I don't know what to make of Green Bay this year. I think they can beat the Bears by a touchdown on the road, and I think the Bears are hitting like quit territory. And I don't think you're going to get fired for the offensive coordinator game. So I will take the Packers -5.5 in Chicago.
I like that pick as well. I don't really understand it for the Bears.
It's a weird line. I feel like I'm taking a trap, but they suck, dude. They couldn't score a touchdown against New England at home last week.
The underrated part about that game is, and not like New England lit up the scoreboard, their defense wasn't as good as they were the week prior.
No.
Big game for the Packers there. It's sub a touchdown.
Yeah,
I like that too. This isn't a coach change, really.
No.
Eberflus is still the guy, and they don't like him.
And if he loses this weekend, he's probably not going to be the guy. No. Back-to-back weeks where you fire a coach.
I've got my picks from yesterday if anybody wants them. And I'm 21-17-2 on the season.
Ooh,
and that's last place in the show.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Right? Well, I'm already starting off 0-1 this week because I had the Commies +4 last night.
I'm glad we're doing this.
Yes.
Great start.
Rams -4.5 at the Patriots. Vikings -6 at the Titans. And Jacksonville +14 at the Lions.
Okay. All right. There you go. There's Jeff Ruff's pick. Here we go. Swag's on the Lions, -13.5. 49ers, -6.5. Chargers, -1.5. Sprague's on the Colts, +4. Steelers, +3.5. And the Bengals, +1.5 on Sunday Night Football. And I am on the Chiefs, +2. Niners as well, -6.5. And the Packers, -5.5 in Chicago. Spraguing the line is brought to you by Guest producer Jeff Rust. I may be dumb enough to get up at 3 a.m. to produce the 30th ranked morning show in Portland, but a Sprague pick? No way.
Mr. Unlimited.
And Sprague and Line brought to you by Jeff Rust. I used to think Danny's Blazer takes were reckless and delusional, and then I saw Sprague's picks.
Smell the ass of a porcupine.
There you go. Sprague and Line every Friday at 8:30. Let's fist bump our way into the weekend. Final thoughts. Send you on your way next on The Fan. There you go. Fist bumping your way into the weekend every single Friday. We made it again. Got some poll questions. We'll answer those coming up here in a moment. Quick snapshot of the weekend. Blazers back in action on Sunday, 3 o'clock, matinee game.
A little bit of time off here.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days off. Sit around. You got the Hawks coming to town. Hawks any good this year?
Hawks are feisty.
Feisty Hawks, okay.
Yeah, they're coming off of a win against Boston in Boston.
Oh, for the Cup, right? And they win their Cup opener in Boston?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hawks are interesting because I think they're a variation of what you want to be.
A lot of young guys just kind of
let them
fly.
Yeah, Trae Young has been out last couple games for them, but young guys who are kind of lengthy, athletic, they play. Risase just had one of his better games of his young career, so I actually kind of think the Hawks might end up winning that game Sunday.
I would take Quinn Snyder as a coach.
Yeah, we like Quinn Snyder as a coach. Okay. So that's happening on Sunday, and a little after. I love early games, by the way. More of those, please, especially on the weekend.
Sunday matinees are great.
Big fan of the Sunday matinee.
Well, what is the afternoon slate for the Red Zone going to look like? Is it crap again?
I believe we get Chiefs and Bills in the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the prime game. So your 1 o'clock slate in the NFL is Falcons-Broncos.
That's not bad.
Seahawks-49ers.
Yeah.
Chiefs and Bills. That is your afternoon slate.
Yeah, Chiefs-Bills is...
That's a pretty good slate of football, for being honest.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad red zone.
You guys were talking about it yesterday. I hate how front-loaded the schedule is. How you have like 9, 10 o'clock games, and you get 3 maybe crappy games
This
in the
is
afternoon.
the inverse of a normal NFL weekend, that if I'm going to get things done on a Sunday, I'm probably going to do it early. Your early slate is Packers and Bears, Jags and Lions, Vikings, Titans, Raiders, Dolphins, Rams, Patriots, Browns, Saints,
Ravens, Steelers is the game.
Colts, Jets, and Ravens, Steelers. That is your most. I think there's only one game in there that I'm outside of games I may be gambling on.
Wow.
A la Packers and Bears.
We'll see how you feel once the witching hour hits at the 10 a.m. window. Holy crap.
That might be the rare 10 a.m. Let's put the one. Is Ravens, Steelers on individually in our market? Do we know?
That's probably their game of the week, I would assume.
Well, no, Bills and Chiefs is their game of the week. So do we get a CBS doubleheader? Do I get that game on my TV?
The weird thing about that is I don't know anymore. I have Sunday tickets, so I can watch any
You
of
watch
these
all
games.
the games? Yeah, I'm not a Sunday ticket guy. So kind of an inverse of what the schedule normally is. Not a lot of great games in the 10 a.m. slate.
Yeah.
We get the Huskies tonight. They play a Friday night game again this week against UCLA. It's a 6 o'clock kick on Fox. So you got that going on. And then tomorrow we'll be here at noon, baby, doing the pregame show. Oregon and Wisconsin. Looking to start 11-0 for the first time since 2010.
Would be a pretty awesome thing to see if you're a Duck fan, if they go to Wisconsin and take care of business. We'll see what happens with the Cougs and the Beavs as well.
You got Beavs tomorrow, 12:30. Cougs tomorrow, 6:30.
If there's no Nico, Tennessee stand no chance against Georgia?
No chance. I don't see it without Nico.
Even with Nico,
Nico, I don't like their chances with that offense on the road.
An SEC coach anonymously said they're the best team in the conference.
Tennessee is? Yeah, maybe they prove me wrong. Maybe I have misguided belief in Georgia because
I think it's
their
Beck
offense
thing, dude.
sucks, man. I don't disagree with it.
It's Carson Beck.
Tennessee's offense has also not been very good. No. They've been winning games kind of ugly, low scoring. 28-18, 24-17, 23-17. That's been Tennessee recently.
Yeah.
So I just have a hard time seeing them getting to 28 points at Georgia. Maybe I'm wrong. I would shake things up in the SEC. That's for damn sure. They'd almost have a frontline seat to go to the SEC title game if they win this weekend because Tennessee only has one conference loss. So they'd have a great chance to get there. That will do it for us, folks. Thanks so much for being a part of our Friday. If you miss any of the show, go check the podcast, 1080thefan.com, at Turton Sprague and at 1080thefan. Pre-game show starts tomorrow at noon. Russ will be in here sounding all sexy. Anthony Newman and I as well. We'll get you set for Wisconsin and Oregon, 12 to 2:30 tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the football. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. We'll talk to you Monday at 6 a.m. Calling us next. Listening to 1080 The Fan.
Will the Buffs keep rolling? I'm Sammy Pete, here to help you beat the books with BetQL. Colorado just keeps winning, and Heisman favorite Travis Hunter continues to build his case for the award. The Buffs host Utah this weekend, and they're double-digit favorites.